Never before have we had greater need to face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...
Important role, right?
Yeah.
Like,
where he created the Speed Force, so it's like, bro, that's not necessary. One, two, and most importantly, it makes no sense.
I think you and I talked about this like either at the end of last week's show or we've been talking about this with each other, but the whole concept of like what do you call it? Like self-starting cycles, like in plots.
I think we agreed that we both hate that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the worst
thing. I gave myself my powers via this weird time loop BS. No, you didn't. It's dumb.
Right, like, but because then it's like, how did you get it the first time? Oh, this has always happened. No,
that's a time loop and destined. No, it's not. It's stupid, is what it is. Don't do that.
And that was the thing. It was like so uncharacteristic for him to go like, oh yeah, Barry's the strongest, the bestest now. He's the Speed Force, because like,
well, and it was
I don't know. It was weird
too. And that's not meant as a disrespect to Barry, because I do actually, one of the things about the Flash family that I genuinely appreciate, and it's something that I think is a testament to the quality of proper, well-done use of legacy, is that each one of them is traditionally vastly different from the other, right?
I mean,
it's a New 52 and Rebirth where they just decide
that's where I was going.
Barry kind of like Wally Light is what they start doing.
So annoying.
Which is super stupid. It's like, okay, so just, I don't know, maybe just bring back Wally instead of making Barry Wally Light. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing was, I liked Barry as he was. I liked that he was kind of this straight-laced guy. It played into Wally's origin, right? Because Wally thought Barry was kind of a dud. He thought he was boring. He thought he was lame. And yet on the other side, the flip side of that, Wally's hero was the Flash.
The Flash.
Barry was the Flash. And so it was this perfect dichotomy here that was so wonderful. And you don't have to Dude, Barry Allen ushered in the Silver Age of DC Comics. He was the Silver Age.
That's what I was going to say. He was the Silver Age. Everybody recognizes him as that.
Like Carmine Infantino, you know, and all that. Like that started the freaking Silver Age of DC comic books.
And then, like, if you they were playing that legacy too, because he dies in Crisis, which technically starts off. What do you call that next? The Bronze Age, whatever it came next.
Bronze Age,
yeah,
really.
The Bronze Age. Yeah, like because that's when you get. Remember, after Crisis, that was the big reboot of everything. We got all the Hawkeye stuff rebooted. We got Man of Steel from John Byrne. That was when we started getting all that, and that was sort of the good handoff was Barry. And that's how they played it in Crisis. Remember, like Barry, before he dies, he's like appearing before all the other heroes. Mm-hmm. Like he sees Bruce in his like mansion and he's like, help, or like, be careful. And it's this sort of metaphor for like, he's the Silver Age. He started it. He touched upon everything. And he's the harbinger of the next generation too. Like he's sort of acknowledging like my time is over. I'm sacrificing myself for the Anti-Monitor. And now here's Wally. And there was that the whole awful realization from Wally that like Barry's not coming back. The suit's his now. It hits.
I don't know. So it might just be a Brazilian thing. So it might just be Dozer. Dozer is saying that my voice is low.
Yeah, I see that. Let's fix that.
I'm gonna keep talking and see if that's actually the case on my end.
Might have been the case on my end because I will admit that OBS for some reason had you at 22% instead of the proper 100. So you should be good now.
Low, but I am definitely lower than you. Like I can hear myself when I listen back to the stream, but I'm like probably 2/3 your volume.
Perfect. We can keep adjusting this. This is all the someday this will be perfect. It's the stupid Microsoft thing. Like it takes over and it goes, oh, your microphone is 24% for some reason, and we've always got to stupid adjust it. But no, this time we didn't boomer it, guys. I see a bunch of you guys. We'll say hello to you in a minute. But yeah, Punk's saying boomer and everything, and Chuck's pointing out that we were late. We were actually not. We were actually on time.
We were here. We were just. Well, YouTube was actually dumb, is what it was.
Yeah. So what you heard of our little flash talk here is actually the tail end of a bigger tail end of another discussion.
It's like the last quarter of it.
Yeah, because
that's what it was.
Somebody out there, some YouTube god, maybe one of our friends who actually is a YouTuber, is passing by the stream right now. But every time we get like a new permission on YouTube, we don't get it all the way. So basically, normally when you start a stream, like when I start Good Mav Ugly, when Wolf starts his stuff, we hit start streaming, everything goes. It starts clicking, it sends to all the places. For some reason on Foil Variant, it wants us to hit a separate go live button after hitting the streaming button. So like we hit the streaming button, we were talking, intro played and everything. Andrew goes, oh, dude, we're not live. And I look and there's a big button that says go live. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So someday that'll end. But yes, we didn't boomer it up. Guys, Foil Variant is doing well. We've got all the tech kind of locked down for what we have now.
Aside from if there were any issues like maybe the last 2 or 3 episodes, they were on the tech side, not on our being retarded side.
Yeah, that was this isn't on us. We can actually defend ourselves in court today.
Yes. Exactly. Hand on the Bible.
Hand on the Bible. Say, we are not boomering this. Instead, we are bringing you intellectually honest comic book talk for the first time in 2025.
Somebody's got
to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get really bad. Otherwise, you're going to get really, really bad takes about something that if you just read it, you would know is completely different. But yes, guys, first show of 2025. Thank you for joining us. 2024 in the bag. We had we launched Foil Variant. It was a lot of fun. We ironed out most of the tech issues. 2025 we ironed out the old ones, and 2025 wants to throw new ones at us. So I don't know what the hell they want out of us, but
it's all a matter of filtering at different levels. That's what it is.
Well, when you say it like that, it makes me feel like I'm like a lab rat, and they're like, "Okay, let's see if this moron can get through this test." And I'm clearly failing all of them.
The YouTube and the streaming game is kind of all very much a big experiment, isn't it? Like,
some people know how to do it. Apparently,
Not me.
Guys, the Rippaverse knows how to do it. Whoever, I don't know, is it Caro back there hitting the play? Whoever's hitting the play button on like Control Z and everything, or the Rippaveels.
Oh, Control Z, that's all pre-recorded. So
that's right, it is. I always trick myself into believing it's live.
We record that like the week before we put it as a live premiere.
I don't know why I forget that. I think it's because I go watch it later and then I'm thinking like you're live and I'm dumb.
Here's a fun little bit of Rippaverse BTS lore.
Whoa,
not
guy,
BTS
exclusive.
As in the Korean band, but BTS as behind the scenes. So the premiere episode of Control Z, we had to restart the entire episode because for the first, it was like 10 or 15 minutes. I had forgot to hit record in StreamYard.
You mean so when you were recording the actual like episode?
When we were recording the episode, yeah.
Oh, that's painful.
Guys, there is a reason why I tell you every single week on my own solo gaming streams on Saturday afternoons, usually around 2:30 p.m. Central.
You're there, right? You're all subscribed.
Yeah, you should be, right? Why wouldn't you be? I'm playing JRPGs that none of you have heard of. And fewer of you will play.
And fewer of you have finished.
But I tell you, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a streamer. I'm bad at this. I'm really bad at this. But yeah, I forgot that, and I felt so bad too. I was like, guys, we're gonna have to redo all that.
Oh,
right now.
man.
My bad. Thankfully, it wasn't long.
It wasn't too long. Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. Okay, bummer, kind of annoying. But if we had gotten like an hour in,
Do you think you guys would have just been like, screw it, we're not doing, like, we'll get back together on another day and try again?
probably, honestly, because at that point, like, everybody is, because the thing is, so when I'm hosting that, or like for the episode, the second episode, not this most recent one, but the one prior to that, Caro hosted, our assistant editor-in-chief. We all have a lot of things that we're doing, a lot of things going on, a lot of plates that we're spinning. And on top of that, the rest of the guys are all our internal artists. So they have other things they need to be doing as well. So, right, there's a very finite amount of wiggle room that we have to like block this out, which is why the last episode was much shorter than the first episode. It was a lot more dialed in. We're like, okay, so about 2 hours works instead of it being 2.5 or more.
2.5, 3,
yeah. So it's fun trying to dial those things in, as y'all are aware watching us
being here. Well, I will give you guys this. There was, in watching all 3 episodes, episode 3 being your most locked in one, if you will, didn't feel like you guys did anything like you had any like, okay, we got to trim it down. It just felt like you guys were more naturally getting into the flow.
I think it was a combination of that, as well as like the first episode, we had the unfortunate obligation of also like having to intro everybody, and each one of us, mostly the other guys, so Kanan, our art director, Igor, our lead illustrator, and Marcos, our concept artist.
Feels like it should be the other way around. Like, your ass should be introducing yourself, and everybody should know who they are.
Well, that's probably
Kanan.
Well, Kanan's the best in the business.
I know.
Man.
I love Kanan stuff.
Kanan's so good. He's also like the most humble and chill
I was also
guy
about to say that
with.
he's also very personable. Like he gives me a smile when I'm watching Control Z.
Like there are guys out there that are genuinely good artists, and they think they are untouchable and God's gift to artistry in whatever form or fashion. Kanan is
I drew Guy Gardner once. I know, right? I'm the authority on Guy Gardner.
Exactly. Like Kanan is actually that, in my opinion. That's subjective, sure. But like he also doesn't act like that. He just acts like somebody who loves what he does, and that's a beautiful thing.
The way I get that
like
from
the
him.
First hour of that first episode was taken up from like each of the guys giving their backstory of like how they got into comics and things like that. So like we trimmed we were able to trim off an hour pretty easily and cleanly just by not having to do that every single episode.
I was gonna say, I forgot you guys did the whole like recap of your backstory, but what I was gonna say, and I was like, and the reason I had a painful look on my face, I was gonna say, I can't believe I'm about to recommend this, but it sounds like you need to do like Suicide Squad style like intro cards to start the show. No. I know, I don't want to recommend it, but if that's like, if you want to detail things to everybody really fast, I guess that is the fastest way. Gosh, you guys can make it stylish. You guys have better looking art, and you can make it all in the Rippaverse font. It would look fantastic.
Outstanding. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, 2025. Obviously, we're gonna be kicking it along. Not a lot. You know, I don't really have any like new year, new me type of things. Maybe near the end of the show, we'll talk about like what or you know what? We're here at the top of the show. Before we get into it, before we get into this topic, again, we're not YouTubers clearly, but let's say hello to everybody who is in the chat so far. We have
chat.
Clone Geek. What is going on, Clone? Always a pleasure to see you. We've got Punk said, finished playing a couple rounds of MPJ a few minutes ago. What's MPJ?
Mario Party Jamboree.
Oh, I knew it was going to be something like that. I just could not place the J. So I don't know about you guys, but you guys can all probably hear it in my voice. I am unfortunately sick right now. I spent Christmas with my sister, and she has a baby. And if you guys know kids, they are just
you got baby
dishes.
Germs.
Yeah, I got baby germs, and I use that descriptor because like you could never, there's no way anybody will ever identify what I've caught. They're just like, you've got it from a baby, because they have everything, right? So
it's everything at once. I think the word petri dish was perfect,
right?
And it was like a mixologist put everything in the world.
Oh, you want a little bit of that sniffle, and you want some scratchy throat. Okay, yeah. Let me whip it up, and I'll
I
put
got a
some
little
fruit.
bit of all of this crap. So what are you feeling? What sucks right now? Yes.
Exactly. But yeah, so my New Year's was unfortunately very lame, but I did get to watch Andrew and some of the people in his Discord server play Mario Party Jamboree, which
me and Mary were playing that. And
which was a lot of fun to watch. Because I was sick as a dog, so I could like barely look at the screen. But hearing you guys and watching you guys, like, laughter is the best medicine. And also, I like Mario Party Jamboree and stuff. It's one of those games I would never play on my own without you guys.
Yeah.
So I can't justify
getting it.
That's how
most Nintendo multiplayer games are. Like, every once in a blue moon, I'll boot up Smash Brothers and just like do, I don't know, 3 to 5 matches online.
Right.
And then I'll switch to something else or go back to doing something else, right? Just I'll just sometimes get the inexplicable itch. I kind of want to kick somebody's butt in Smash Brothers. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll do that for, I don't know, half an hour, and then I'll do something else. But otherwise, I really only enjoy Nintendo multiplayer games when I'm playing them with my friends. It's what they're made for.
Oh, it's what they're made for. It's just, unfortunately, like, I've got you guys now, but prior to, joining the community and everything, like, none of my friends in real life want to play like Switch games. So it was like,
except for Leon, probably. Leon plays Smash Brothers, and he does join us.
I knew him after you. I know you first.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you knew Leon first.
I might have said hi to him, but I started in terms of actually like budding the friendship. It was
also like more consistent interaction and hanging out and type of thing. Okay.
Yeah. It was like I've talked to Leon. I've been like, hi, nice to meet you. And he offered me some criticism on like a bounding article, but we were not like hanging out. Honestly, here's Mavlor. It was probably getting to know you and your community first that made me open up to like, I can talk to people around here, right? Because we were talking before stream. Unfortunately, as with every community, just being on the internet there, you can't trust everybody. And it really backfires on you if you do. So I'm one of those people who's a little wary about like, I don't want to be out in the community. I don't want to make myself a story. But yeah, like talking to you and realizing like not everybody is going to be tracking everything you say, waiting to put your head on a pike. That made me open up to be like, oh, look, I'll reply to a Leon tweet or whatever, and then let it spiral from there. But yes,
that's
Mario,
a little bit of Mavlore I did not know.
Look at that. You are the reason for, I don't know, not the season. The season's over. Mariah Carey's gone. But you,
dang it, I want her back.
Dude, I've caught myself for some reason like jamming out to her, like the All I Want for Christmas Is You on December 31st, and I was like, why? I haven't listened to this at all this season, and tonight this is the song that I'm like on
the
repeat.
last day of the year, right?
Just like on repeat. I was like, I don't know what's going on with me. I'm chalking it up to the cough syrup. But we've also got Corey. What is going on? Yes, you are looking at the Double Gayest Show on YouTube currently, now, and later. Don't worry, once June gets here, it's going to be the even gayerest show on YouTube.
Dude, we should just play that up for the lols in June.
We're going to have a lot of fun this year, guys. like little tease, I've been teasing it, but with a lot of the work I've been doing on the new Good Mav Ugly layout, there's improvements I'm bringing over here to foil variant with graphics and fun things to do, so keep hanging out with us. We're going to have a lot of fun, visual, dumb stuff for us all to enjoy as the year goes on. And I hope you guys stick with us. But we've got Zero. Nice timing on my end. Probably just showing up from playing some Sonic Superstars. And then, yeah, he gave us some info on the on the voice and the levels and stuff. Hello, Shinies, as in our foil variants from our boy Timon. And Wolf's volume is better now. Good. So it sounds like everything
sounds
is level.
Like it's corrected.
Yep, Chuck is here as well. As we already said hi to Chuck, but yes, it is an extra thick layer of bullshit in 2025. Nothing can ever go right? The show must go wrong.
Yes.
Yep. Freaking Punk's got it right. You are definitely not a pro YouTuber, Andrew. Neither of us are, but we're trying our best. Damn it, we're trying our best.
I'm happy to not be a pro YouTuber, because that means I'm more productive in other facets of my life.
Like that was the thing. For all, I know everybody here saw all the Rip Reveal stuff. I know you did, and there's no reason for anybody to go catch up on it on the link down in the description below right now, because I know you've all seen it.
Shameless plug, fantastic. Thank you.
What plug? This is just reminding people of what they've already seen. But yeah, if you guys saw all that, you probably saw the announcement from Eric himself, where he was like, I'm not quitting YouTube, but like I'm going to be focusing more on the Rippaverse or whatever. And everybody started shitting on Eric, going, "Oh, look, he's giving up. Oh, his YouTube channel is failing." And it's weird that people don't understand that, Andrew. That like, just because I'm like we only have finite time. We can't do everything.
it's a combination of things. One of which is on the creator side, and by creator I mean like YouTube creator side. It's an inability to see outside of that, because once you decide to become a full-time YouTuber, like this is your job, this is your moneymaker, this is your breadwinner, this is what you do every single day in order to pay your bills, have a living for yourself and maybe your family or whatever. There is a very specific formula and schedule to which you are now locked into, and a mindset as well if you want to be successful at YouTube. That is a whole other discussion as far as what that entails and what that requires, because some of it's stupid. But the other part of it is people who can live on the internet and only understand that which they see from YouTubers, because they live vicariously through YouTubers, and because they don't have necessarily, I don't know if it's necessarily capability or maybe and I don't want to use the word education in terms of like intelligence or stupidity. I'm using it in terms of what you just know. Right? Yeah. What you actually have experientially. They don't understand anything outside of that. And so they're living vicariously through YouTubers, unfortunately. And because of that, they associate success with just how a YouTuber is doing. And here's the thing. Eric's been there and done that.
Yeah.
Back during 2019 through like 2022, early to mid 2022, dude, he was just killing it. He blew the hell up. And sure, it was great money and he enjoyed it for the most part, but it wasn't his end all be all. It's not what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. He wanted to be creative. And in order to do that, he had to sacrifice the YouTube stuff and say, okay, I'm in the short term, I'm going to sacrifice my YouTube channel. Even though I've spent all of these, he's been on, I guarantee you name your top 5 YouTubers that you watch, Eric has been doing this longer than them.
Oh, dude, yeah.
He's been doing it since he was 15 damn years old. So he's been doing it for a very long time. He's been doing it since before you could get monetized and make money on YouTube. That's how long he's been doing it. He was doing it
for the love of the YouTube game back in
Exactly. He was doing it just because he was putting content out there, whether it was for music, whether he was just talking comics, whatever it was. However, he realized that there was a moment like where he had to make that choice, right? Where he had to say, okay, I could continue to, despite the fact that I've launched this company, I could continue to do the YouTube grind, the YouTube game, and put out videos every day, and those would do well as long as I was putting forth the same amount of effort that I was back in 2019 through 2022. That would do perfectly fine. I would be very comfortable. However, that's super limiting.
Yes.
If I instead direct more of that energy towards my business, towards my creative passions, towards what will elevate not just myself, but the people around me. And so now not only am myself and my wife living a comfortable life, but now I'm able to give jobs to other people. Now I'm able to also give something of value to other people in terms of books to read and things like that. And that's a mileage may vary. Maybe you love ISOM, maybe you don't love ISOM, maybe you love Alpha Core more, maybe you love Yaira more, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. What matters is that now he has decided, okay, so even though there are going to be most people that prefer 1 or 2 books over another, I'm going to put all of my focus and all of my energy into this because this is something of far more value than just me sitting in my desk chair for a couple hours or several hours every day talking about what's bad in the mainstream. Instead, I'm going to try and offer people something else, an alternative, and not just an alternative for alternative's sake, but something that's like, hey, I want to grow this to the point where, hey, maybe there's a scenario where DC and Marvel get their stuff together. It's really going to look more like this because sometimes they'll put out good stuff. Sometimes they'll put out terrible stuff, as you and I talk about every single week,
goodness.
Right? From week to week, that changes. Sometimes we'll have weeks where it's
really
wow,
does.
Everything was good. And then we'll have weeks where it's like, what was wrong with the books
and
this week?
It'll even change between our characters. One week we might be like, man, I remember like we weren't doing it on foil variant because you weren't reading it for good reason. But I remember like there's that scene in Absolute Power where Hal is trying to close like the multiverse gate that Amanda Waller opens, but his ring's not strong enough. Barry and Wally get their Speed Force back and they run up next to him and they go, "Don't worry, you can use a little like extra willpower." And it slammed it shut and it like busted the machine and it was crazy. Amazing stuff. The first issue we get of him after that is an awful weird science or like not science trip, like family vacation to dinosaur land where all the font is constantly changing. So we go, Flash rules right now. This Flash sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all that is to say that we're proud of what we're doing over here at the Rippaverse, and Eric's proud of what we're doing.
It's also something like this should come as no surprise to anybody who's talked to me or followed our work on bounding and stuff. But like, I more so than like what specific content should we be putting out or endorsing, yada, yada. I'm more of I support artists. I want you to go out and make whatever you want, what fulfills you. I might not like it. I might hate it. I might say it's the worst thing in the world, but I want you to go out and do it of your own volition, your own, don't do it because...
And do it to the best of your ability because there will be a market for it. Now that's going to vary.
100%.
But just do it to the best of your ability.
Do it to the best of your ability and do it to do it authentically. I think that's a big thing too, is that we can all tell the corporate fingerprints over everything or make this change because we got to, set up a sequel or sell some more merchandise. We've all seen that. So to see somebody go out and especially in this day and age, and unfortunately, like in the current state of our sphere, to see somebody go, I want to do this and because it's fulfilling and I am willingly like giving up the money making aspect. I mean, he's going to make money. You guys are making money from everything, but good chunk of change coming in from those live streams, right? Like nobody's going to deny that because you have super chats and all that. So he's willingly going like, I have a passion. I want to do this. I'm like passing on the money. That to me is insanely like, what's the right word? It shows he has like character. That seems like somebody I want to support, even if I don't, again, support every single release that comes out. Like, I'm not going to lie. Although maybe this doesn't sound so bad because I've told you I do this with kind of any indie release, but like I didn't pick up any of the individual Alpha Core Yaira Isome because I was like, I like the idea. I like what he's selling, but let's see what he does. Like, let's see what the actual, I don't want
you said before that you've because of what you've witnessed by being in the space, you have kind of an aversion to anything that even resembles, even though we don't do crowdfunding.
No.
Anything that resembles it in any way, shape, or form. And what we do is more like pre-ordering something before it's released. It's still different from like just walking into your LCS like you and I do every single Wednesday and being like, this is the book that I want to pick up today. It's right here. I can pick it up. I can hold it immediately. I could even flip through the pages right now and just triple check like, hey, all right, this does look like something I want to pick up. Cool. Bet. Hand it to the cashier. Done. Right?
I was gonna make a joke about like, oh, did they change the artist this time? But we'll get to that with Batman because Jesus Christ, dude. But
dude, they can't nail down a freaking artist for this book.
4 issues, 4 different artists. I'm going insane. We'll get to it.
Granted, at least they used a good artist this week. At least
they did better than the ones that we've been getting aside from Jorge.
Yeah. Like I was about to say like issue 1 was Jimenez, so like it's gonna be rare for me to push against that. But like this week we got Tony S. Daniel. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
I'm
I'm not mad.
I literally had that same reaction. I was like, my first reaction was like, seriously, another artist? And then I was like, oh, it's Tony Daniel. Fine, okay, this is good, but seriously, guys, it's your.
But it's still annoying because it's like Whiplash, right? Where you're just getting. There has to be at least from like. Here's the thing. I understand that artists, especially those who, most artists in the mainstream these days, and most artists in general, when it comes to comic books, are contract workers, so they're going to go wherever the money is. They're going to go to wherever, people are offering them, highest dollar. And then if they're competing dollars, they're going to say, okay, well, which is the project that I'm more interested in? And they'll take that, right? Depending on how schedules line up. That's just how it is. That's contract work. That's freelance work.
That's just any industry. That's just
however
anything.
Yeah. Ideally, when we're talking about comic books, you at least want individual arcs to be consistent.
Yeah.
For an artist, right? So let's just pretend like 6 issues is still the standard. Sometimes I can't tell. Because sometimes they can't make up their mind.
This damn trend of like stealth not deciding how many issues we're going to get. I can't stand it.
All of a sudden an arc is 5 issues. Or all of a sudden an arc is 7 issues. And I'm just like, what is happening here? Well,
it's
right?
like it's that, and then it's also
keep
like,
the artist consistent.
We're giving you a new series, right? And you go, cool.
Very.
And then it's like, oh, after issue 3, I learned this is a mini series because you guys didn't know what you wanted to do with it. Well, now I'm like pissed off because I'm like, oh, this was something I wanted to keep rolling with. And it's all over the place.
And it's annoying. And so it's super frustrating to not have art consistency within at least individual arcs. Like, give me your 6-issue arc. This is this story, right? The same artist and same writer is on this. Like, give me at least that.
Just
guys.
keep that. Like, even if you have to delay the book, I would kind of take that and throw in some
I
random
would.
filler issue.
Honestly, I would be fine with that. I'd be like, cool. So it's delayed a month, whatever. Just for the sake of my OCD, give me the consistency. I need it. Otherwise, it's super frustrating because especially when you have phenomenal artists. Like, look at Ultimate Spider-Man, which was easily one of the best books just overall in 2024, right? I think we agree on that. Oh, Marco Cicchetto, his art is just phenomenal. He is like the best looking MJ in forever. And then we had what was it, 2 issues where he wasn't the artist on in the first arc?
Yeah, it's like the I know one of the issues is
it was like 4 and 5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the dinner issue and then one more issue. He's not the artist on it.
And it was like, really? Come on. Like, just if he has something else on his schedule, work with him. There's here's the thing. The Ultimate Universe isn't tied to any main universe events, so you have a little bit more wiggle. It's not Ultimate Spider-Man isn't even particularly lining up with the Ultimates or any of the other Ultimate Universe books now.
The only pushback I give against that is, remember, that every book is on that 2-year time scale. So that's why we have every book for Spider-Man has like the like 12 months till the Maker is back, 11 months till the Maker is back.
That's fair. But I didn't even think about that.
That doesn't mean you can't play around with that or throw in a filler issue that still works within that time frame. Like, to your point, you can plan around these things. Very rarely do you run into like a Donny Cates situation where your main talent gets in a massive accident and is just immediately off the board. Normally you can see like, oh, somebody's going in for surgery, or, hey, I'm getting really sick right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this book. So you go, okay, let's do it accordingly. And at the very least, those Cicchetto fill-in issues, they used an artist who was in the same vein. Nothing bothers me more than one style being completely radically changed in between issues, and then like the main one, I'm trying to find it. I can't find the issues in my folder here for some reason, but that Justice League No Justice story that you and I talked about like the other week, where they had all the different like 4 teams go fight like the 4 Celestials or whatever, and it was like really interesting because it like mixed up heroes and villains on.
I love how quickly I can pull these things off of my shelf.
Yeah, there you go, exactly there. But that I think it's like Manipul does the first 2 issues and the last one, but then issue 3 out of nowhere is done by Riley Rossimo, who we've talked about Riley before. He has like a more cartoony style, which isn't necessarily bad. It just doesn't work for the comic books they keep putting him on. So you go from like Francis Manipul epic painted sketch looking stuff to all of a sudden you've got like big-headed Batman, because that's the more cartoony style that they do. So avoid things like that, and I think things work out a little better. But I'm still with you. I would much rather have delays to things, and as long as they're not like, okay, because I was gonna say like as long as they're not like Doomsday Clock, but that's a whole other issue. That was just mismanagement everywhere across the board. There's no reason
that's
that
a whole other can of worms.
But let's see. Yes, okay, good. Everybody saw the Rip Reveal video. I'm very, very proud of that. Yes, Timon says he has heard of all JRPGs, and you know what? Of all of our readers or all of our viewers, I would believe Timon would know all JRPGs. Even if he doesn't like them, I would believe that he knows that all of them like in his head. Chuck says, Mav, you just described EVSJW. Did I do that? No.
Never heard of her.
No, never heard of her. I was just completely describing a random, out of nowhere scenario off the top of my head. I wasn't pulling from real life. Chuck, what are you talking about? Let's see. Punk says, ordered the foil variant of Psylocke #1 on eBay earlier this week and got it at a reasonable price. Very happy that you did, because I know you've been talking about that cover for a while. It is a fantastically gorgeous cover. If we had done a proper rundown of like top 5 covers, that might have been in contention for me. Probably wouldn't have won, but it was up there. Again, guys, remember, if you are interested in getting foil variant covers and collecting them, regularly and not just picking up a cool one on a whim at your comic book shop, look into things like Things from Another World, Midtown Comics, online retailers where you can pre-order these things, because you can get up to like a 30% discount, 40% sometimes, if you pre-order early enough. So
so it's a win-win, because it allows you to get things at a discount off the cover price, because your LCS is going to mark those up. And the reason why, and I don't begrudge them for that for the most part, because the reason why they do that is because they know that they can sell that cover. They know they can sell that ratio variant. However, in order to get that ratio variant into their store, they have to purchase X number of the normal cover and have that first. And so maybe it's a book that most people aren't really actually that interested in, but a particular variant cover, several collectors absolutely would swipe that, right? And so for an example, my shop right now has the Tyson Heese ratio variant cover for the Sonic.
Mad about that.
75th. We're not 75th. 25th. Yeah, 25 years.
It's issue 75. That's why you're getting confused.
So it's this issue, but one of the variant covers for it. And it's a beautiful cover. I wish it was spot foil. If it was spot foil, I would pay the price that they're asking for right now. However, unfortunately, they're not. Right now, or rather the price that they were asking for it a couple weeks ago. Right now, the price is like $125. And I'm like,
oof.
I'm
$125 for this?
$125. The ratio on it, I forget what the ratio was for how many copies the shop had to order of the regular cover A. I think cover A and B, it might have been a combined amount in order to get access to even one copy of this. Keep that in mind.
Right.
Was kind of ridiculous. That cover, it's such a cool looking cover. If that was spot foil,
beautiful. I don't know why they didn't. Oh my god.
This is what I would have done with this, right? I would not have foiled anything on Sonic himself except for his eyes, and then I would have foiled all of the kind of crystal looking stuff behind him. And that's it. I would have dropped the 75 that was being asked for it a couple of weeks ago immediately.
Like
I would have been like, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna put it in one of these, and then I'm not gonna touch it.
Is that one you can do yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they sold those, because I know
my shop does. I don't know how common they are at other locations. They're like $20 or $25. But yeah, these are actually magnets. So these are magnetic.
Oh,
They're not screws. So if I pull it open hard enough, it'll
yeah,
actually
you put
open
enough
up.
force on it.
But it's nice because it's an extra layer of kind of protection and displayability than what a standard like top loader would offer, right? Hey, Emily Kruger, nice to see you. Big fan of the Rippaverse over there. I see her over in the Rippaverse Facebook fan page all the time, along with a lot of our other awesome people.
She's always around in the Rippaverse stuff. I see her in the chats. What's going on, Emily?
But yeah, I would have swiped this cover immediately at 75 bones. I would have been like, ugh, but I like it enough. I'll do it if this was spot foil, but it's just standard. It's not a virgin cover. There's no foil treatment, nothing.
And I will say this. I've seen this in person. Like I saw it at my LCS. It's really pretty art. Like, do not get me wrong.
It's beautiful. I love it.
It's Tyson. Like,
yeah,
this guy.
He's fantastic. He
ever since we were kids,
he helped with the redesign for the movie Sonic,
the old Sonic to the new Sonic. I mean, ever since we were kids and we came up in the same circle, like he's always been this amazing artist that we always were like, can we like emulate you? How are you so good? So like
he gets it.
He does. He knows Sonic, and this piece is beautiful. But 75 for a non like foil thing. I paid 80 for my symbiote cover of Ultimate Spider-Man 1, right? Yeah. But that's like, it's Ultimate Spider-Man 1. It's Ultimate Spider-Man. It's the symbiote suit. Makes a little more sense than just a random Sonic variant. So
well, yeah, because think of this. Like, it's none of these three things. It's not a version cover. It's not a foil treatment or any other kind of special treatment cover. And it's not signed.
Yeah.
So $75. Sorry, man. Like, I can't justify that.
There's
no world I can justify. So if it was none of those things, but this was a Patrick Spaziante cover, who was for the longest time, the cover artist over at Archie Comics when they were doing the Sonic comics.
Yep.
And it was like Shadow, or it was just like a really banger of a Sonic image, I would consider it. But literally any other Sonic artist, even Tyson, whom I adore, I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify it.
Isn't Spaz is the one who gave them all like the really big old anime eyes, right? When Adventure came around?
I think he also had a really unique and dynamic way of showcasing movement and hands specifically. His hands always looked super hyper dynamic compared to literally anybody else that was drawing Sonic at the time.
Yeah, no, I think Spaz, because Spaz was on it for so long that his style evolved along with like the series. So like he started with like a normally looking Sonic, and then by the time they brought the adventure stuff in, when they were like, oh, it's time to bring in the what do you call it, the modern look now. So it got really weird for a little while. Like Sonic had the big connected whatchamacallit, like the eyes were connected really, really heavily. The spine, everybody knows what I'm talking about. But he had that style for a little while, and then he got better, and then he closed it out with the Worlds Collide. So you saw how he eventually, again, he got it there, like at the end, it was all perfect. He finally perfected it, and then they said goodbye.
Yeah.
They said, we don't want you here. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful cover. But like 75, when I can pay 20 extra bucks more and get that amazing Witchblade one that you were just holding up, like, which is what I'm gonna do as soon as my paychecks come through. You got to make me really. You got to sell us here.
Yeah, it's like this one is foil treatment and signed for actually cheaper than what is being charged currently for this cover.
Yeah,
right here by like $25.
And again, that is like the Witchblade Andrew is holding. That is our mascot foil, because that thing is the most.
It really
gorgeous,
is.
It's the most gorgeous damn cover either of us have ever seen.
I can't argue with that because it's beautiful, and it's also J. Scott Campbell, whom I tend to get quite a few of his releases.
So I'm still so stoked that the Magic series that is coming out is all him. He's doing all
of the base covers. Yeah, all the cover A's. That's wild. He does not often do cover A's.
He doesn't do, and especially for an entire series, right?
Yeah.
Like he did the
or at least for the first run. So like for the first, arc.
Yeah,
that we know
yeah.
of.
But like he I guess the most recent one he did were those X-Men variants that Yumi and Trace grabbed. But again, those are variants. Those weren't cover A's.
Yeah, those are like cover C's or D's.
But I'm super excited for this series because I don't know if you saw my message, but this series is being drawn with covers by J. Scott Campbell, but all the designs are being done by Peach Momoko. So it's like this confluence of our like two favorite artists. So I'm really excited on a character we both really love. So
dude, I grabbed the short box of Magic over at my LCS on Wednesday because I was like,
I'm so jealous.
Well, here was the thing. So I forget the name of the artist of the one side of it. But it was like, wow, that's a really cool image of Magic. And I'm somebody who
it's the one with like the big like yellow wave of her like trail of her sword,
you know what?
right?
I'm just gonna freaking pick it.
Yeah, just grab it up. Pick it up. Mary, I am moving to Texas as soon as I can have money.
So it's this.
Oh, you already filled it up. Oh, that's David Nakayama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that looks great
on that side. But I was like, wow, that's really cool. I was like, who did the other side? And then I flipped it around.
It's your boy.
I was like, oh shoot, it's J. Scott Campbell. So I was like,
all
right, well,
immediately
I guess I'm picking this up today.
I'm so jealous. Like I saw you do that on your Twitter. You made your daily your weekly post about like what you guys pick up, and I saw that and I was like, no way. I want that one really bad.
I couldn't help myself because it was J. Scott Campbell. He's one of my all-time favorite artists, right? I have so many, Spider-Man variant covers and X-Men variant covers of his, and now the Switchblade one as well. And so as soon as I saw that he did it was his art on the flip side of it, and I was like, well, crap. Okay, I guess I gotta grab this.
Yeah,
right.
Like just like threw it across the store to the like counter, like put it on. I'm getting.
It was literally like I was like, okay, pulls off the top, sticks my stack of books that I was carrying and the bags and boards inside the box, and starts carrying it over to the counter. I was like, all right, well, we're grabbing this today.
We're
and I'm somebody who I like Magic. I like Ileana quite a lot as a character.
Yeah.
She's never been like top 5 or even top 10 for me. My favorite iteration of her was back during it was like early 2000s. Was it when she was in Runaways? When she had the red suit?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
She wasn't in the Runaways. What
was it? Runaways or
Exiles?
Exiles?
I think it was the.
It might have been Exiles.
I think it was the Exiles.
It might have been Exiles, but there's a specific when I was still young and trying to learn to draw, I wound up stopping. But one of the things that I tried copying was a picture of her out of Wizard magazine, which was Magic in this red suit that she had. She was holding a sword against her shoulder. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And so that's Magic for me. I do like her black suit that she has these days. I think it's really freaking cool and very fitting as well for her as a character. But that was my favorite style for her. But yeah, I saw that. Style, I was like, well, it's J. Scott Campbell. I got to grab it.
You got me. What more do you want from me, guys? You've already got me.
Heaven forbid they come out with, I don't know, a Marco Cicchetto MJ one. Right, for Ultimate Spider-Man. Where are you at, Marvel?
There's that box you and I found last week. I forget, the J. Scott Campbell MJ box or whatever. Or
no, and like I said
MJ
last
and
week,
Peter box. Yeah,
and Mary's in the chat right now. So when I went,
that's right. Yeah,
Mary,
that's right. Yeah,
when I visited Mary earlier last month, we went. So before we went on a movie date and then to dinner, we went into. She had to grab something at a store in the local mall area. And I went into a comic book shop that was there, just to poke around. It was kind of small, which was fine. I was just like, all right, I like to just take a look around, right? See how comic shops are doing, what they have in their stock, is there something I want to grab, etc. It wasn't actually there as part of the store, so it wasn't something that was for sale. Somebody had brought in their own box, their own short box, because they were selling some stuff out of there. I think they were selling some CGC stuff. But it was that very one where it was MJ sitting on the couch and Peter was behind her with his arms kind of over her shoulders and around her neck
The choke hug, if you will. I have no idea what else to call it.
From behind. Yeah, it was just a beautiful, beautiful box. And I was like, and Mary will tell you, I like picked it up and I was like, I want to take this with us right now. Because he's one of my favorite. Yeah, exactly. That one. It's just such a great piece, man.
Where is this even from? I don't know. I don't
Don't
recognize it.
know.
I don't
I've
want to
never
say it's
seen it
original
anywhere.
because I don't think he would do an original for a box. Like that just seems like a waste of money for Marvel. But I've never seen it, so I'm very curious about where this comes from.
I'm not 100% certain, but I need that box. I do need that
we're
box.
gonna
I would immediately stick all of my signed J. Scott Campbell variants into that box because it would take up like 3/4 of it.
If it means getting rid of your dark web box, I'm in. I will buy this for you.
Look, I get that story was garbage, but the art itself is still great.
I know that piece is a really good piece, and I'm a sucker for like the glowing green and purple like color schemes.
Yeah, I was like, it's J. Scott Campbell, MJ, and Felicia. Like, I'm not gonna say no.
Isn't Venom on that box, or is that a different box? Isn't he on like the other side of it?
No, that one's one of the ones where it's the same image on all sides.
That's right. And that was like it's weird. That was like right after the dark web stuff. They started doing the multiple images on everything. So
yeah, they're hit and miss with that.
They are. Like my Ultimates one is a single image, which is fine. It's cool, but I see like your Magic one, and I'm like, I want that. Like I want to see multiple images on all sides.
Yeah, I've got that one. I've got all new Ebon, which of course I have.
It's such a cool box.
Facing forward, I've got the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men one. No, Exceptional X-Men one.
Oh, that's right.
But it's Joelle Jones's Emma Frost cover.
They did make a box for Uncanny, but it's just the sort of I love you, David Marquez, but that first cover A is kind of boring. The one with all their hands, like
yeah,
I get it. It's cool, but it. I'm not getting that for like a box. Like that's not. Like
there were better covers they could have picked from. For sure,
there were better pieces he drew within the book itself that they could have used.
Yeah.
But speaking of books and things they could have used, why don't we talk about some comic books from this week?
Let's talk about some comics. And yes, Mary, I'm sure you could actually make that box pretty easily.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
She's actually quite crafty.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen her make a campaign. I feel like making a box is nothing compared to that. So
for her, by comparison, yeah, not even close.
Right. So Subhuman kind of can start us off here. He says, there was really nothing I wanted to read this week. Now, I won't say there was nothing we wanted to read, but it was definitely a slower week.
It was a short week. Yeah, I had like half or a third of the books that I normally do.
Yeah, I only picked up like 4 or 5, and that was super surprising to me. So one, I guess I'm assuming our lists are probably the same. I know what you picked up. So what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with some Marvel? Do you want to start with some DC? Marvel's only one book.
You know what? Let's actually start with Marvel because we haven't even had a chance to talk about the books this week yet.
And
I'm going to say this. So this is going to be new information. This was actually the only book I read this week that I actually didn't like.
You know what? This is going to be surprising for me. I wasn't the biggest fan of it either, which is something you would have. This seems like, from what we all know of me, this would have been right up my alley. It missed.
Well, I think we were both looking forward to it based on like the previews we'd seen or the covers that we had seen. But like once I actually cracked it open and started reading it, I was like, there is so much and to a degree I understand it, but there was just so much expositional dialogue in this issue. And when I say so much, I mean just a lot, to the degree where it felt like, and it's not Jonathan Hickman writing this book, but it felt like somebody trying to go full Hickman.
That is literally the same takeaway I had for this book.
I was like, this isn't Jonathan Hickman writing, but somebody is pretending to be full Hickman right now.
That is literally where, I was like, Deniz Camp is trying to do his best Hickman impression. And if you guys have watched the show, you know that Andrew and I, we try to, we have this recommendation that we love these, certain writers, but writers, if they can go full bore, sometimes it's not for the best, whether it's Bendis or Hickman or Al Ewing, right? Like,
yeah.
If you let
some people need to have the reins just enough on there to keep them at a level to where everything works and is coherent.
Exactly. And
otherwise, everything goes off the rails.
And so you have, when that happens, Hickman is somebody that happens to, and this is somebody trying to imitate Hickman doing that. So
yeah, so it's not even Hickman going full Hickman, it's somebody trying to be full Hickman.
And I think you can feel that in the way that Deniz tries to approach being Hickman. Like, you and I both came out of this being like, this isn't Hickman, but it feels like somebody's trying to be Hickman. It almost felt like they're trying too hard to be Hickman. That's what it really
felt like. A try hard issue. And that's not, I don't want to say that as a disrespect, but I did not this out of the, I guess I was about to say all, but I really only had 6 books this week. This book was the one book that was kind of a chore for me to get through, because it was just like, there was just so much. I don't mind as long as it's well placed, as long as it works within the context of the story and the characters. I don't mind a lot of dialogue, and I don't mind exposition as long as it works. It has to work. This just didn't.
No, it didn't. So we'll do the normal thing. We'll recap it, and then we'll break down why this didn't work. We'll talk to you
Take
about
us
everything.
away.
So, Ultimates number 8. We all remember where we are right now. The Ultimates have been getting their asses handed to them by the Makers Council. We remember they got rocked by the Hulk. We remember that Tony is currently on life support. So here's where this, first of all, Art Adams, Phoenix, just I love it. I love Art Adams as an artist. I don't know why. Like, he's one of my favorite X artists. He does it right. But aside from that, so here's what happened, or how do I even approach this? Because even my explanation wants to be weird. So we open up the issue.
They kind of cold open the issue.
They cold open the issue too hard to me, right? Like, we have,
because it's such a shift from the prior issues.
It's such a shift from the prior issue. I don't necessarily know why they're all gathering here. I don't know what mission they're on. Even like Doom doesn't really, right? He just goes, oh, there's about to be a time travel event. We got to check it out. And it just felt like we rushed over here too soon, right?
It felt like a filler issue without any setup.
There was no setup. It's very out of place. But basically we have the Ultimates. Doom tells them, oh yeah, there's going to be a time travel event, which I actually liked his explanation, because they're like, we're here, but there's nothing. And he's like, time travel's hard. Either an event is about to happen or it just happened. Just chill, right? Like, it's not a movie. Yeah. I was like, oh, I kind of like that. Like, that's an interesting little time travel bit. But basically, the time travel event that they are awaiting is the arrival of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And upon their arrival, they reveal that they are here to bring back America, because America is a member of their team. As you can see, their team consists of Captain Marvel, Star-Lord back here, Cosmo, and what do they call him? Like Kid Nullifier? But he's what's his name? Novar. Like that. That's clearly who it is. So, sort of a good little ultimate take on our Guardians of the Galaxy. We learned that America was a part of their team. She doesn't have memories of this, so this
Star-Lord is way more powerful than we've ever seen a Star-Lord.
I kind of like this Star-Lord. Like,
it was like, oh, this Star-Lord's almost kind of like typical Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel tier in terms of like power, and you're like
an
whoa.
Actual cosmic being, right? Like,
you're not just like shooting pistols at people. No. Like and quipping, right? You've got some power to you, like serious power.
Like this, these guys have powers we don't even have names for. That was something that Jake says, and I'm like, damn. Like, I like that, because that really sells the cosmicness of it all. Like, you don't need to explain it, but you can be like, dude, everything's going weird here. Yeah. So then we also get Kid Nullifier. I kind of like his ability where his guns can nullify anything that he understands. I really like that limiter on it, because that means
he has to specifically understand it in order for it to work. If he doesn't fully understand it, only understands it partially, doesn't do anything.
So I really like that. That's
kind of a cool thing.
He's able to take away She-Hulk's momentum. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You really do get a sense that these are cosmic heroes. Like, with the Guardians of the Galaxy we know now, it feels like they could be a super team on Earth if they had to be. But these guys really feel like they're out here turning people into stars or fighting, the end of the universe and stuff like that. So really good use of the characters, of the iconography, all that, or the roles, not the iconography, but like the roles of what they're supposed to be. The ultimate good boy, Cosmo, really nothing to write
That was
home
probably
about
the one panel that I did actually like in this book, this entire book, because it says, I forget what Captain Marvel says specifically, because it's not zoomed in, but she says something to the effect of all other canines, all of the dogs, like transcended to the next plane. As if all dogs literally just went to heaven.
Surely
and then
you remember Cosmo Starstalker, who stayed behind to protect humanity after all other canines ascended to a higher state of being.
Exactly.
The ultimate good boy.
Right? And so I saw that and I was like, I'm with you. I'm with you. For this panel. For this panel, at least, I'm with you.
I also liked... We'll get into like why, because a lot of the exposition you and I were talking about comes from Captain Marvel, and I'm sure our readers, if you guys were looking, you saw all the text bubbles in the pages prior. We'll get back to it, but at least to your point about this being like the one panel that worked, this was also the one panel in the spiel, like Captain Marvel's spiel, that worked for me, because it felt like she was taking it feels like an old movie pulp, right?
Yeah.
Like Captain America, the Star-Spangled Avenger. He's here to kill it. Like, he's here to kill the Nazis and save. Like, it felt like that, but it's about a dog, but she's being completely serious. So I just the ultimate good boy. I don't know. I was like, awesome. Yeah, we're totally here for this.
Yeah.
So then we unfortunately just get another dumb, superheroes got to fight superheroes. Cosmo
for like 5 seconds.
Cosmo then goes into America's mind to try and like remind her. She forces him out. It leads to him going, do you guys know you're all sharing the same dream, which will probably, it doesn't have any effect in this issue. We'll probably play in later, but it's clearly them all traumatized from their fight with the Hulk.
Right. To me, this reminded me of, so you remember in MCU, what was it? Phase
Age of Ultron
3.
No, this is 2.
Was that 2? Yeah, that would have been 2, where like Tony was having that like vision of like all of the Avengers dead, right?
Nowhere.
Yeah, they went nowhere. This panel kind of reminded me of that, where it's like, oh, this is like the possible future. If you fail, they're not going to fail. Like, let's at least I would be shocked if they did, but that's what it reminded me of.
It reminded me of that. Here's the thing. I think failure for them is on the table. I don't think it's complete wiping, killing all of them. But from what we've seen, I can see them failing against the Maker, just like in the first battle. Because right now, these guys are not a very good team. But yeah, I agree with
they're
you.
Not.
We're not getting this full massacre. Like, there's no way we go into...
Everybody isn't going to be dead all of a sudden.
No,
when we reach the point of the big battle, right?
And they're not all going to be dead from Hulk, of all people. Like, we've seen, it's going to be Maker stuff.
They did get their crap pushed in by the Hulk, by Banner, for sure. But
that's like boss one. Like, you guys you guys have
he was the mini boss, man. Like, y'all aren't ready yet.
That was your tutorial boss, and you guys couldn't beat him out. But then we get Star-Lord doing more cosmic-y cool stuff. Again, I really like this Star-Lord in the sense that he can do a lot of this weird cosmic stuff, but nobody tries to explain it. Like, all of them are just like even Doom's like, yep, you can do interesting things. And because I feel like the more you try to explain something like this, as somebody
the more you take away the mystique.
Yeah, and like as somebody who's working on a fledgling like comic book universe, it's something like don't you feel that if you try to explain all of this right away, sure, it grounds it, but then you like write yourself into a corner too, because then it's like, that's got to work with this and that and this and that and this, and then that's where our power scaling discussion that nobody got to hear comes into play, right?
Right, that we spent like 10 minutes on. No, that's actually absolutely true. So when you're building out a universe, you want to give your readers just enough to want to know, okay, but then what? Right? You want them to be constantly asking, well, what next? What happens next? What did they do next? What did they want next? Now what? Those kinds of questions. Because if they're not asking those kinds of questions, that means they're not actually invested. They don't care. They don't want to know what happens next. And that is the last thing you want about like anything regards to a creative work. You do not want your audience to be not invested and not curious as to what is going to happen. That is the absolute last thing you want. You don't want that at all.
No,
So
you want them engaged. You want them talking. You want them speculating. You want them being, oh, what's Star-Lord Isom here going to do next?
yeah,
And
so
yes,
you
because
don't-
they're both black. I made that connection.
You don't want to dump a bunch of info on all of the intricacies and inner workings of your universe onto your readers right away. You want to give them little tidbits. You want to give them little nuggets that make them go, oh, that's kind of an interesting thing that character just said. I wonder what that implies. I wonder what they're saying there.
Yep.
Like, what does that actually mean? Like, you're not giving them everything. You're not telling them how all of this actually works, but you're making them ask themselves questions that is reinforcing the creativity and the curiosity within the reading and consumption experience. And that's important because you want your readers invested. You want them to be asking those questions that I just said before a moment ago. And so you don't want to just start throwing a bunch of information. Well, here's exactly how all of these characters' powers work. Here's the origins for everyone and everything. And all of a sudden it's like, well, then, all right, why am I going to spend X amount of hours reading through all of these things when you literally just told me how everything works and what's going to happen? I'm not interested now.
There's no mystery.
I already know.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no more mystery to be discovered. There's nothing left to know that's really of value, at least in the immediacy. And so you have to be careful with how you kind of it's like a valve.
Yes.
Right. So you have to be very deliberate and intentional about how much pressure you're releasing from that valve at a given time. You want to give your readers every now and then, you want to give them maybe a little extra, like, ooh, here's a little bit more, right? And then they can, whoa, that's a thing. They could do this, right? But then you shut it off. Then you dial it back again, and then you leave them with more questions, and they're like, yes, but what next? Now what? Right? You want them excited, you want them invested, you want them enthusiastic, and so to your point, to bring it back around, I'm also glad that they didn't just like info dump how this Star-Lord's powers all work and everything, because it was, we're seeing him do things and we're curious, like, whoa, how the hell is he doing that? Like, what is that power? What exactly are his powers? We don't actually know. We just know that he's doing some cool stuff.
Right.
And that's all we need to know for now.
It literally is. We don't need
to know the inner workings and intricacies and every single detail to the most finite measure of what he can do. It's not necessary to the story.
We don't need the Wikipedia breakdown of it because it's not a scientific subject. Again, guys, it's a story.
Yeah.
We don't
what matters
need
is the story.
Suicide Squad info dump cards, right? Like, I'm bringing them back. But so
stop it.
we then get the reveal here. I guess we should at least talk about it, that America and this Captain Marvel are in a relationship. Or
at least they were in their prior team makeup.
And this one, I kind of, I want to hear your opinion on it too, because even from like a storytelling or cultural work, like all of it, I kind of just went, all right, like that one works. Like it wasn't Carol, so I didn't feel that they were trying to push her. We all knew America was probably going to be a lesbian or something, because that's how she's always been treated.
Well, here was the thing. That was something that it was a self-insert thing in the original 616 iteration of America Chavez. It was like a defining thing about her character, which was a terrible decision in terms of making a defining thing about her character. You want that to be an incidental thing about her character? Okay, fine, whatever. But they leaned into that too much, and
said,
so
this is the character. Yeah.
Right. That detracted away from anything else that could have been actually interesting that more people within the audience could have latched onto. Because the fact of the matter is, the vast majority of people aren't going to be able to latch onto that specifically. So when it comes to this, like I've already said it before, when we first got introduced to current Ultimate Universes. America Chavez, I really liked her design. I liked her characterization so far. We had some cool stuff with her. We haven't had a ton of her, but we had enough where it was like, well, I actually want to see more of this character.
Also, her jacket is such a good addition. Like, you can see her just rocking normal here with the Guardians, but then all the panels with her jacket, it's like that.
Yeah,
you need
like
America.
her design is on point for sure.
So
for me, it read more like a momentary distraction and incidental thing, because here's the thing. I don't know anything about this new Captain Marvel, and so I don't care. We're not given literally any context behind their relationship that they had however many eons ago or eons into the future, however that actually works when it comes to time travel and all that, right? So I don't care about any of that. To me, this was a one-page distraction. What mattered more to me and what was more interesting was America's reactions and responses to what the information was that was being presented in front of her.
Yeah.
Because she was, despite all of this stuff that was being dumped on her, the short version being like, she used to be a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy here, and she was at one point in a relationship with this Captain Marvel. Okay, fine, whatever. But then that team got lit the heck up. They got scattered throughout the cosmos and throughout all of time. She landed in the present for this current Ultimate Universe. And she also lost her memories via the experiments that were going on with her. Okay.
Yes.
Fine. However, what was most interesting was the fact that despite all of that, and despite like these memories, because this was something interesting. So this Captain Marvel like tries to imprint her own memories onto America, right? And America even says like, so, I loved you once, right? Or I was, whatever the exact verbiage was that she said, but these are my people.
Those were beautiful memories, but they were yours, not mine.
Correct.
Can you understand? Yeah. They don't belong to me anymore. I believe that I love you, but I don't know you.
Yeah. Like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. And so she chooses to, because what it is that Guardians, just as you said a moment ago, we're trying to like take her back with them into the far off future, into another time. But she says, no, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to help these people. These are my people now. Right. That is far more important to me.
Yeah.
Than a one panel distraction that people could take however they want.
Yeah.
I don't really care about that. Like, to me, that says something about her character.
Yeah. No, this was a big character moment.
That says something to me about who she is as a person, that she's not going to just take, the imprinting of somebody else's memories upon her that may or may not have actually involved her.
Which she doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And instead she says, no, like, these are the people who have been helping me.
But also, like,
I'm going to remain loyal to them and I'm going to help them in this fight that they're in.
And to like reinforce that, like, she's also being confronted with like ultimate, like, kid nullifiers, Star-Lord, like these omnipotent, powerful
these
people.
These characters clearly have powers that are way beyond what the Ultimates have right now.
And so, like, theoretically, they could go to the Maker and just go, boop. But she's like, I'm staying with the Ultimates. Like, this is what I know now. Like, I really did like that moment.
That was a strong character moment,
and as a strong story moment. Because I don't know if it's going to, maybe she gets betrayed. Maybe the Captain Marvel we're talking to here is like a bad guy or something. We don't know. But
who knows?
But just the fact that she didn't go away and she's like, I'm going to stay here. I committed to this. I have to commit to this. Like, it was a really strong character moment. And it
was one of the couple standout moments in an otherwise like really kind of boring issue that didn't mostly land well for me because it was just too much exposition that felt overblown and unnecessary.
So let's get to that. Well, first thing, I just wanted to point out something that bugs me about this specific page. Mm-hmm. The negative space between them. Like it just feels like they should have extended all the, because you see like behind them there's all those different like montage panels of them doing stuff, but then in the middle there's that weird just green negative space. Mm-hmm. I feel like you guys should have like backfilled that in with something, like either extended all the bubbles or put another scene in there, or really sell that it was making a shape of some sort, like a star. I don't know, but it feels weird to have that negative space there. It just feels...
I'm not sure how I as a writer, would have described that panel or that page to the artist. So it could have been a miscommunication or misinterpretation. But yeah, I feel like there's a better layout to be had for that panel.
I'm gonna guess from like an artist perspective that when the artist was making it, I bet Deniz Camp's script said like, you know, they're kissing on top of a montage of all their stuff, and the artist went, this looks a little hard to make out what's going on in the middle here, so I'm just gonna leave it blank.
Yeah.
It might also work better
That's
in black and
reasonable
white.
enough.
It also might work a lot better in black and white.
That's possible too.
I mean, we're seeing that a lot lately, like all the absolute stuff in black and white.
Yeah,
like,
Absolute keeps releasing those noirs.
Blood Truth #1 in like just black and white noir stuff
Only
is coming back, and it's
$15.
awesome. Only 15. Throw it onto your damn Trinity hardcover pre-order like I did, and you have a solid 100. There you go. Taxes are done. I don't even know what I'm saying. Just go buy it. You know you want it. But so, okay. Here's where let's talk about what Andrew and I are talking about with exposition here. So, in this issue, obviously the Guardians show up, and this is where it sort of begins. Right here, Captain Marvel pops out of the ship, and she starts talking to America, and she sort of just starts recalling things they did. So she sort of just is info dumping at her, right?
Yeah.
Together we defeated the Ultron Dominion, splitting ourselves through the Infinity Prism. When the 24th Celestial Host returned and judged the Milky Way a failure, it was us who developed a new form of super diplomacy. So they're throwing a lot of this stuff at you, but a
lot of stuff that doesn't mean anything to us.
That's exactly what I was about to say. We have no bearing for what any of this is, right? Like, no, we've never seen an Ultron Dominion. We've never seen, you know, it's just, you're asking us to believe, you're telling us what they did instead of showing us why.
What it is he's adding words that we are familiar with onto labels that we have no idea.
That's a good point.
Context
Yeah.
of.
So it's like, oh, Ultron Dominion. We know Ultron. We know what a Dominion is from the Krakoa stuff. But what's the Infinity Prism, and what does that mean that we fought simultaneously? Like, it's just, it's telling you a bunch of cool things that happened instead of letting you see them and proving themselves to that. Right?
Yeah.
So
they could have instead. So what I would have done, back it up.
Yeah.
What I would have done, it would have probably resulted in having to add an extra page overall to this book. However, what I would have done is I would have taken that, was it panel 1, 2, 3, 4? I would have taken that panel 4. I would have blown that out to be a kind of pseudo splash where you have this Captain Marvel in the center with America Chavez. Maybe she has her hand on her shoulder or something like that. But then you're doing kind of like a kaleidoscopic.
You could even use that pose right there where she's like grabbing her by the arm. Like
America. And you're doing kind of almost a kaleidoscopic set of mini panels along the border.
I can see it in my head. Yep.
That are showing a few of these different events that she's describing. And you can then condense the dialogue that she's giving here into something a little more palatable because you're now showing us, right?
And you could also, and it would make it, I like that note you say about making it more palatable, because I think in that format, if we had the visual and she kept the description short, it would have worked, right? Like, don't you remember we fought the Ultron Dominion and then we just see the fight behind him? We don't need to hear this weird explanation. Or like, do you remember when the Celestials came and we see the panel behind them? Like, I'm right there with you. That would have been,
because right now
effective.
This panel's dialogue reads like I'm dumping a bunch of expositional dialogue here because
100%.
We don't have the ability to put another page to actually show you what the hell happened.
That's actually that does feel like a lot of what it is. And it kind of goes into that more where all of the fights with I guess it's only 3 of them, but every encounter with the Guardians, Captain Marvel is doing that, right? She's like, that's Star-Lord, master of the solar system, lord of the 12 houses, and the land beyond the sun. It's like, cool. I don't know
what does any of that mean.
Like, sure, I already got he was powerful from the fact that like Hank and Janet are being put into like big head mode, and Hank, Mr. Physicist, is like, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We have no names for this.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of that, a lot of telling you rather than showing you. Like, and so like, I didn't like that. And then we get to this part, which is just a big recap of where the Guardians came from, how they got to be here, and it just feels unnecessary, sort of out of place. On it, like
Well,
it feels like
also
a big
doesn't
legion of
mean
superheroes, like fan fiction.
but it also doesn't mean anything to us because we have spent zero time at all with these characters, and so we don't really actually. At least I didn't care where they came from. I didn't care what their backstories were yet because right now all you've done is show me that they've arrived on Earth here in this universe, in the new Ultimate Universe, and they want to take America Chavez away because reasons. And that's it. You've given me zero reason to care about these characters yet. It's not to say that it's impossible to do so. I just don't yet. Like there's no reason for me to care about all of this stuff that you're telling me about them.
No, and I'm right there with you. It's too much info dumping at you and not enough walking us through, show, don't tell. Show us these fights, So this like third panel, right, or 1, 2, 3, 4, this fourth panel where a team of like Visions and Captain Americas and Thors are going up against the Guardians. So you don't know this because you haven't read it yet, but that ties into Ultimate Invasion. That's actually from the final fight of Ultimate Invasion. But that should be something I care about, but they don't really go into it. They're just like, we fought them. Okay, that's a big implication. Can we talk about what that meant? Like, they kind of just roll through everything
kind of just gloss over it.
Yeah, they roll through everything really fast to get to
that
really
moment
awesome
in
America
either the
moment.
action or comedy flick where the character that just heard somebody say a bunch of stuff and skipped over something very important was like, hold on, like I feel like we kind of glossed over this really important thing.
Yeah, like
right?
Wait a second. Blowing up the planet? Wait, can we go back to that?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then just more. Here's what I think really, really bothered me about this, because when we got to this point, I got slightly more interested in what was happening, because there is, I forget where they say it or who says it, but at some point they talk about, they're from the future and all of a sudden their timeline got erased. So they're like stuck in the future because the Maker came back and erased, messed with everything. And now all of the heroes are different and everything is messed up and they don't know what's going on. And I'm like, that's really interesting.
So they're almost describing the erasure of the original Ultimate Universe, and now.
But that's where I get really, really confused, and I feel like they didn't really stick with this, right? Because it feels like, okay, what am I trying to say here? And stick with me here. We're going super comic books for a minute. If this is Earth 6160, and this is supposed to be the reboot of the Ultimate Universe, if these Guardians said, we came from this, in this universe, it was like this originally, but the Maker came and messed everything up, that would imply all of the heroes we see that they saw were the ultimate heroes. But instead, they frame it as, where was it? It's when he's fighting, like Captain Marvel says, like, these twisted, deathless recreations, these sad mockeries of what should have been. It sounds like they're talking about the Earth 616 heroes, because by the time we got to the end of Earth 1610, none of these heroes were like, Captain America was kind of an asshole. Spider-Man was dead. So was Janet and Hank, and like most of the people on the Ultimates were bad people. Reed Richards is the Maker, the guy you're fighting against. So that just made me a little disappointed, because if they'd have said like, we are from the 1610 and that got erased, I'd have been like, interesting. Let's see how that plays. But it's not, it's just some random Earth. We were going to be Earth 616 again. And now the Maker changed it. So then that makes me go, okay, does that mean every multiverse world starts out as Earth 616? Like, is that the blueprint, even though we see that's clearly not the case? And it's just, it makes it messy, right? It made it not sit right with the suspension of disbelief that we know from all of this stuff. So all in all, like, I mean, I was really happy to see Captain Universe and her actually like doing something instead of just being like a gimmick. But aside from that, this was just a lot of, let me tell you this crazy stuff and then nothing. Like, honestly, this right here, the 10 billion descendants of Banner, the so-called Planet Hulk, trying to hold back reality with their bare hands. I want to see that.
That
sounds
description
amazing.
is actually pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Right? But the way it's shown, I mean, I guess there's probably only so many ways you could actually really show that, but there's not enough time spent on that, which feels like it has a lot more weight than what we're seeing.
All of this stuff feels like this all could have been an arc unto itself. It didn't need to be a one-issue thing where you threw it all together. We could have beaten the Maker, and then next thing up is let's talk about the fact that he messed up the universe, right? And then here's your Guardians. So yeah, I'm right there with you. The only other thing I think I would point out as something to just wrong one. Where's the comic book one? As just something that I noticed was interesting. You have this. Oh my God, it's zooming in too much. In this panel up here, they talk about how they were looking for a solution to the Maker. Like, what were they going to do? So they met with this, the greatest minds of the galaxy convened. Mentor 137, the Parliament of World Minds, Human Supreme Intelligence, Eternal Unimind. And they all come to this conclusion. But what I noticed was interesting was you have a read here. Like, there's a read up on this council, clearly, like standing behind the word box. There's Doom and Charles Xavier. So don't know what it means. That
looks like Charles,
Yeah, don't know what it means. Might be cool. Like it could be something that eventually works for us. But unfortunately, that was just the sort of only other thing I noticed. But then that also made the time loop thing like, oh, so what universe was it supposed to be originally? How did you have Doom when Doom didn't exist like that? Like, I don't know. It gets weird. All in all, I think I'm with you. Not a big fan of this issue. I'm still going to keep reading the book. It's
well, because otherwise the book has been pretty strong.
Yeah, it's been a great
But this
one.
issue was just kind of like a dip where it was like, oh, all right, well, this one finally had kind of a dud for me.
It felt like
but we'll see if it gets it back in the next one.
It just felt like they were trying to artificially boost the scales. And it's like, I feel like the scales are already pretty damn high with...
I was going to say, I already kind of felt a sense of urgency reading each issue of Ultimate Spider-Man and the Ultimates. Like, I'm not reading Ultimate X-Men or Ultimate Black Panther.
There's no urgency in either of those books. I love X-Men. There's no... You don't... Just read Spider-Man and Ultimates is all you need.
Yeah, and so I just... I felt a pretty strong sense of urgency already as is within reading those. And then adding on to it the 1 year in one shot that we had last week or the week before, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, like things are kind of ramping up. And then they had this issue and I was like, I feel like this issue didn't need to actually exist. I feel like we could have gone into whatever happens next. This doesn't feel like it actually adds anything other than introducing this universe's Guardians in kind of an annoying expositional way.
Right. There was every other time we've met a new version of a character here, it's all made sense or it's worked within like the narrative of the story, right? For example, one of my favorite ones was Hawkeye. We met Hawkeye, but it was so late in his life, he was like, I don't want to be a superhero. What are you talking about? So he throws away all of his stuff. So then the new Hawkeye picks it up. Like that's cool. That worked in the story. This is just, we're here now. Hi. Oh, we're going to leave now. Bye. But we're going to give you this like time MacGuffin where you can summon us whenever you need us.
Right. And so it felt like a big, like roundabout, unnecessarily long expositional way to introduce a MacGuffin that we'll probably see pan out sometime later on.
And you know
unfortunately.
What? We could have, imagine if this issue didn't happen and we just found out, maybe a couple issues ago like after they've got America, Tony's talking to Cap and he's like, yeah, we ran down, her suit's made of this fiber, it can hold this energy, and she had this weird doodad on her that's sending out a signal, but we don't know what it's about. Like, we don't know who it's talking to. And then we go into the final fight or whatever.
You just saved us an extra really annoying issue.
Exactly. And then then in the fight against the Maker or whatever, it's like, oh crap, we're about to go down. Hit the button and
now the Guardians show up, right?
And you're like, holy shit, like the Guardians. And
now you get to have goodest boy moment, right?
Goodest boy have the goodest boys moment. But yeah, overall, a very weak issue, but yeah, we'll see
not great
what happens with the rest
been
of it.
A strong book so far. This issue in particular, not good.
Not
For
good.
me.
Still like the art though. The art was still pretty damn good.
Art is still absolutely super strong for this series overall. Absolutely.
Like just looks fantastic in every panel. Like that, the fire being sucked off of Human Torch there. I do want to give a shout out. I really like this design for Kid Nullifier where he's not a person or something. Like he's like smoke.
Yeah.
I thought that, I don't know. That's just really cool. It's a cool little design thing. But yeah, aside from that, that's all I got for Ultimates. Kind of a disappointment. One or two panels there where we found some interesting stuff, but overall, just nothing.
Meh.
Not for us. So Marvel, you're not starting off the year strong. Although, before we jump, I have one question I want to ask you about Marvel. We're tuning into our favorite crap book, Jed Midkay's Avengers.
Midkay.
Awful issue again. Like
I did not read this. However, I did see the cover with Felicia on it, and I saw one particular page that's a splash page that's got her in like that one. I've actually seen the clean version without the text and
copy,
everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's actually a really great looking panel. I have no interest in reading the book.
I was gonna ask you, how do you feel about this art style, like what they're trying to do here? Because so there's this panel of Felicia with her back and everything, clearly supposed to be like a sexy cheesecake shot. And then they have a similar one here of Storm.
This current Storm design is so good.
I know you love this Storm
love it
design,
so much.
Which is, it is a fantastic design, but there's something, they feel too stocky to me. Like Storm and Felicia look too stocky.
You'd have to zoom in a little bit for me.
For Storm. All right, yeah. Let me do that. Right, like she just seems a little.
So
stocky.
Now that I'm looking at it, there are two things I think I would change that would completely fix this page. One of which being, I would tweak her torso just a little bit. Look, guys, not every single female character has to have a super hourglass figure. However, I would give a little bit more of an inward dip.
Yep.
To her sides there, just a little bit, and then on her face, I'm trying to figure out if it's the positioning that the artist did with her lips that looks off, or if it's the fact that her chin is jutting out too much, or a combination of both.
I think it's the chin on it, because I think in the context of the scene, she's supposed to be like, oh yeah, like she's supposed to be like mean mugging or like pretend mean mugging.
Right.
So I get with like the lips, I can see that, but I think it's the chin. The chin is like really jutting out there.
Yeah, the chin's like super jutting out there, and it's throwing me off. Because otherwise, man, the design for Storm
the design
right
is fantastic.
So
it's just something about her feels really stocky there. Same with the Felicia here. I can't put my finger
Felicia,
on, like, what
I think the issue with Felicia was that they put too much on her delts here.
Whoops.
Yeah. And then not so much her thighs, because that's fine, but her calves.
Her calves are pretty strong.
Her calves are a little too wide. You can still have the definition there, because it would make sense for her to have extremely strong legs, right?
It's just
based on the character.
Yeah.
It's just like visually the way that we typically see Felicia. I think the calves are a little too wide.
I think it's the calves are a little too wide, and then I think the chin issue hits again up here too. Just a little shave it down just a little bit, and I'd probably be a little more fine with it. It's not bad art. It's just everybody was going gaga over it, and I was like, I'm not feeling it. Like, everybody's like, oh my God, Black Cat, yes, Felicia, woo, queen, and I'm like, I've seen her in.
I was about to say, I've seen all of J. Scott Campbell's Felicia Harding covers. Like, you're not impressing me here with this, as far as like comparatively, because otherwise, like if you tweak those two little things, all of a sudden this becomes incredible, right? Because this is absolutely, the kind of setting that Felicia would be in, the kind of dress that she would be wearing, all of that, having the big old hair, looking super great. Nothing wrong with any of that. There are just those fine detail little tweaks that I think would actually sell this better. Because right now it looks like her shoulders and her upper arm muscles are just a little too thick. Like a little too there. That's not to say that you can't have your archetypical like muscle mommy type characters.
But it's proportions and
Felicia
everything.
isn't one of them.
She's not in
That's
neither
not
Storm.
like
and,
that type of build would work with She-Hulk for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this is actually a really good She-Hulk shot.
That's
I
a
can agree
John
with
Byrne She-Hulk is what that is.
It really is.
And
all
that
those
would be like
proportions work too. Yeah,
that'd be a phenomenal John Byrne She-Hulk. But this doesn't work for Felicia,
which is too bad. And yeah, no, I'm glad you gave me that because now I can see it. Now I can put words to it. I really just wanted to ask about that. The entire issue is stupid. You said this is where Felicia would be, and it's like you would think so because I know what you're looking at. You're looking at the casino setting, but the whole thing is like the Avengers need to go steal this like cosmic thing from this interstellar casino, but it's already been stolen by Felicia, and it's like I don't know if I like that because like what is she doing in space?
I don't buy the premise at all.
Right. Like, it's just, what are we doing here?
Felicia has no business in space. Like, I'm sorry.
You know what? It would have made more sense. It would have been like Star-Lord or Gamora.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, look, we've been heisted by the Guardians. Crazy. But it's mid-K. What do you want? And this is, again, Valero shitty. She's great when she has a good inker. Stop giving her bad inkers.
Right? That cover is actually great.
If there was a way to get you this cover without the book attached to it, I would do it.
Oh yeah, like without any of the fixins here. Like yeah, that would be that'd be a chef's kiss.
Put it up on like Etsy, Valero, and we'll buy the print of it.
Right.
But that's all I really got for Marvel this week. I'll note this real quick. So all I have to say about this, we have a new Deadpool and Wolverine series.
I almost picked this up, but then I was like, I like Logan, but I don't care enough about Deadpool to pick up another. Like I read and enjoyed, as people can see if they watch back through our older episodes.
Which they have, right? Everyone.
I enjoyed the World War III Deadpool and Wolverine team up book, which was, what was it, 4 or 5 issues, something like that.
Something like that.
And it was fine. Like I enjoyed it. I was
art.
like, okay, this is Kubert art. Like I'm not going to complain about that. The story was fine. But I'm glad it was a mini and I didn't need anything beyond that.
So I agree with you there. And so I picked this up because it was actually Benjamin Percy, and I was like, oh, I like him well enough. He's good with like Logan.
The art looked really good. I did flip through it, and that's what tempted me.
The art's really
I was just
fantastic.
like, I don't care enough about Deadpool.
Well, that's also the thing. I'm kind of like, do we need? They keep doing this, like teaming up Deadpool and Wolverine and trying to make it all seem like, oh,
they're doing it because of how well the movie did.
Of course they are, but like, so you remember in World War III, the whole thing was like, Deadpool got mind controlled, and Logan had to like break him out of it, and then they had to go find the guy who was mind controlling him. Mm-hmm. It's literally the same thing that's happening here. Deadpool is being mind controlled by something that makes him super efficient instead of goofy, and it leads them to a mission, leads them into Maverick, leads them into Strife. So it's like, it seems fine. If you're a fan of Wolverine and a fan of Deadpool, you'll probably enjoy the book. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything to write home about. But the other thing I really just wanted to bring up is like, guys, just give them their own ongoing at this point. You don't need to keep doing like minis. This is Deadpool and Wolverine. They will hold it. Like, well,
I think what it is, they don't want to have to do anything that's like continuity based with regards to like whatever the story was before.
Even before you said the word continuity, I was like, oh, I just realized what I think Andrew was going to say.
Yeah, they don't want to have some new writer have to take into account whatever the last story arc was. They just want it to be some like isolated for the most part. Even though it may
pick up and read,
like it may take into account stuff from one continuity or another, but otherwise, pick it up, read it. You liked the movie, maybe you walked into a comic book shop.
This is if you like the movie, 100%. I just wanted to note that, like, just give them their damn ongoing. Like, you don't need to keep doing this.
It would likely do well if they did.
And
I don't disagree
have to
with
put
you
it in canon, like.
Yeah.
You can just, I don't know. It's weird, Marvel. You're being weird.
And Wolverine's Revenge isn't in canon, and Deadpool and Wolverine World War III
Revenge
wasn't in
isn't
canon.
even a book technically for like another 3 years.
2 months. Yeah, February is when it picks up again, or March. What was it?
Something like February. But yeah, when last week when you were doing the post rip reveal space with Nick Weiser on Good Mab Ugly, we tuned in and you were talking about that at that moment, and that's why I messaged you. I was like, because you were like, I'm reading Wolverine's Revenge, and I was like, no, you're not. Nobody's reading that damn book because it's
no
never
one's reading that
coming
book
out.
right now because it's not out right now. Yeah.
All right, so I know you didn't read Spectacular Spider-Man, so that I think that clears out our. I didn't either. I just wanted to bring up the book. It's stupid, but that clears out our Marvel again. An S start for Marvel, but hey, it's the first week of the year. Why not? So with that, did you have any image books? I don't think you did. I think
there were no image books this week.
Yeah,
at least not of the. Okay, so I should take that back. There was, and I almost picked it up. Spawn, what was it? 260 or something like that? I can't remember the name. A Spawn book dropped, and it was McFarlane coming back on writing. And I was tempted to grab it. I almost grabbed it, and if it's there next week at my shop still, I might grab it anyway if they have the booth cover. But otherwise, I would nothing that I read week to week, because Lady Mechanica is now over. That was only a 5-issue or 4-issue.
4?
I think it was a 4.
But then they have that other series coming at some. They just haven't said when it's coming. They just
they have the next story arc coming soon. Witchblade will be back in, I think, 2 weeks is when the next issue drops. So yeah, no image for me this week. This was a pretty heavy, comparatively anyway, DC week for me.
It definitely was a DC heavier week. So let's jump over to Mr. Detective Comics. And where do you want to start? We have good books. We have some mediocre books. Where do you want to hit? Or at least I think we have a mediocre book.
I think what I want to do is I want to quickly hit Batgirl and Batman, because the book I want to spend the most time on is going to be Absolute Superman, because that's my book of the week.
That. Oh yeah, definitely mine as well.
While you're queuing that up, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to hit the restroom.
Hit the restroom. I will say hello to everybody in the chat. We will talk. What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys enjoyed our little breakdown of the Ultimates. If you're not reading that book, I still highly recommend it, even if that issue was sort of a dud. Everything else about this book has been really, really, really good. I would go so far as to say it's even a good political story, in the sense that, you know, it has political themes, but it doesn't go, you should believe this or you should believe that. Deniz Camp's doing a pretty good job about it, regardless of what any other dishonest critics out there might have you think about it. But yeah, check out all that Ultimate stuff. I would bet all of my reputations on it, except for Ultimate Black Panther. Again, that book is nothing. Nothing happens. If you've watched the MCU movies, you know what's happening. Clone Geek, I've been wanting to hit this for a little while, but Clone Geek said DC's paper quality is really lacking for their standard covers these days. It is, and I've noticed, I feel like there's an insidious thing here, because they also print a lot of their variants on the really nice cardstock, and then they charge like $2 extra for that. So I'm right there with you. I wish we had, I kind of wish the cardstock was the standard thing for all covers, because it makes displaying them a lot easier, putting them in the bags and everything. So you're not alone there, Clone Geek. It's just sort of the downturn of the quality of the industry in general. Hopefully we get a turnaround at some point. Subhuman said a little while ago, read a bunch of back issues this week. Don't even blame you. Like Andrew and I were saying, a relatively light week. I spent a lot of time, what did I read this week? I was catching up on stuff from actually like this holiday break. Caught up on Green Lantern Dark. Metamorpho was actually kind of a fun little initial outing. Ultraman X Avengers continues to be frustrating, because as an Ultraman fan, it's really, really cool. I like seeing how they handle everything. I just feel like the Marvel aspects of it all are really annoying, because they're, you know, focusing on like the marketable Avengers. So Captain Marvel or Falcon Cap and that kind of stuff. And Andrew's back, so we can keep going. But we have a question before we hit the actual book. Reeve, our boy, he asks, since we're on the topic of Batgirl, do you two prefer Barbara Gordon or Stephanie Brown? I'll let you start, Andrew. Who do you prefer as your Batgirl?
I'm Babs through and through. However, the tricky thing here when it comes to Batgirl is I also love Babs as Oracle. I also love Stephanie Brown as a character, but I think I like her more as Spoiler. And then Kane, I like her as Batgirl actually quite a lot as well.
Oh yes,
she's just such a cool and unique character.
Like I thank Reeve for leaving her out of contention, because otherwise it would have been like, Cassandra, easy, done.
Yeah. All three characters are phenomenal characters, and I think all three of them brought something different to the Batgirl title. I think the one that I could take least as Batgirl would be Stephanie, because I like her more as Spoiler.
Yeah.
But between Cassandra and Barbara, it's tough because I like Barbara as both Batgirl and as Oracle.
See, I like her as both, but I definitely feel like as a permanent character turn, Oracle should be who she is. Like, I like her as, the narrative contribution of her starting as Batgirl of her own volition, and then, getting shot by the Joker and becoming Oracle and becoming even more helpful as, in a wheelchair than she was in the field. I think that that's a really good character development in the sense of keeping the world feeling like it's alive. Like if no resetting everything, no new 52s, like that's a good development that also helps open the door for other heroes to come in, right? Like, because we run into this problem now where they go, oh, here's a new Robin, and here's a new Robin, and here's a new Robin, and you go, but there are still 7 Robins. Like, you can't just replace one of them. But this way you go, okay, no Batgirl, let's bring somebody in. I think I'm with you in terms of Robins. If I had to let one of them go, I would let go Stephanie Brown, because I do like her as Spoiler a lot more. However, there's one thing that makes me like really hesitant to say goodbye to Stephanie, and that is what she represented for Bruce during that time. Because I actually went back and read her early appearances like in November. For some reason, I was bored and I was like, oh, why not? Just whatever. We all do this. But he gets a lot of flack, and this is like Dixon era. So like Bruce gets a lot of flack from like Alfred, other Justice League members, other people in Gotham being like, okay, you have another Robin already. Like, are you sure you're not just trying to hold on to like Dick and make up for what happened with Jason? Like, this is really bad, Bruce. Like, the way you're treating her, the way you're using her, this isn't how you do normal Robins. So like, it was a really powerful break for him that he didn't acknowledge it. He had to work through it to the point where Stephanie almost died. And so I like that element. See, like, I like it when they all run together. If you were to say you're making a movie, pick one of them to be like your new DCU Batgirl, I'd probably have to go Barbara. It's so complicated. Cassandra Cain, done. I don't even care. I'm breaking your question, Reeve. But no, I like all of them. I'm with you. I think they all have something to contribute. But again, we got to let our characters like live and grow and pass on mantles and stuff like we used to back in the golden age, was it? Right? Like Robin and Huntress and stuff. So that's my Batgirl of it all. I can't even think of like any cool alternate Batgirls. I was going to try and be cheeky, but I'm like, every continuity just uses Barbara.
It's kind of true, because I mean she set the standard, obviously.
Did you ever read one of my favorite stories? I don't remember who wrote it or like where it's from. I think it's drawn by Ed McGuinness, and I think it's from the Superman Batman run. But there's like an early story of Dick teaming up with Barbara, and they're like caught in a like, I think it's a Riddler trap that continues to like close in on them and like force them together. And the entire time Dick is like, oh God, like he's in his little like elf outfit, so he's got the booties and the like the little boy shorts, and the entire time he's like, oh God, like don't get aroused, like don't, oh God, I'm up next against Batgirl. And then at the very end, like Bruce opens it and they walk out, and Barbara's like, thanks for helping us out, like Batman. And Dick's like hunched over and he's like, chum, are you okay? And he's like, I'm good, no injuries over here, Batman.
I don't remember that.
I'll send it to you later, and I'll share it in the Discords, in all of our Discords, in my Discord and your Discord, so everybody can see it. But it's a fun little bit. It's great.
I believe
but humor aside, we've got Batgirl. So issue number 3 of a series I'm very surprised at how much I love this series. This is like
I'm kind of shocked how much I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Right? Even with this issue,
I'm enjoying it more than Batman right now.
Oh, I mean, we will talk about fucking Batman. Don't even get us started. I mean, you will get us started in a little bit. But yeah, this book, at least when I picked it up because I like Cass. I figured it would be fun. I actually didn't have a lot of expectations going into it, but what we've gotten out of it, we gushed about issue number 2 last time it came out, and now we've got issue number 3, which is sort of super solid character-driven story where, yeah, I really don't have enough like good things to say about what we've got going on. So if you guys remember, Lady Shiva and Cassandra Cain are being hunted by a group called the Unburied, who apparently have some sort of vendetta to pick, or a bone to pick, if you will, with Lady Shiva and her, what do they call it? It's like the Children of Shiva. There's like a cult that worships
the Order
her.
of Shiva, I think.
Order of Shiva, that's what it is, yeah. So there's this whole plot that we don't know the full details of yet, because we're coming from Cassandra's point of view, where this Unburied is taking out anything related to Shiva and her operations. So if you remember last issue, they attacked that restaurant that Cassandra uses as sort of like her family, her like home base. They're now on a train escaping Gotham, and we start the issue with more attempts by Lady Shiva to talk to Cassandra, and we see more of Cassandra just being like, no, we're not doing this. Like, forget it. Don't even try. We keep up that tension. I really like that we're still 3 issues in, and Cass is no closer to being like, oh yeah, she's my mom, I like her. Like, she knows from the heart, like, do not trust her. She does not, she's not to be trusted here. This art, I don't know if they meant to communicate it this way, but I really was like, this is an anime moment to me, because if you notice, Cass kicks up her left leg and brings it really close to Lady Shiva's leg. Now, I don't know if she's in like motion to hit her. I think she's at a pause because the artist is really good about that. But then if you look, when she delivers the kick, it's with the other leg. So she's like standing on one leg and then fully like whips her body around midair to like Dante Devil May Cry kick Lady Shiva through the door. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool. I was like, that's a really cool little moment. But in kicking her through the door, we discover that the train that they are all on is full of people.
League of Shadows.
League of Shadows people, Shiva cult people. And it's just this whole thing about, like Lady Shiva's been saying, it's a war against the Unburied. So you're going to have really weird, different allies. And this is probably my favorite bit of the book is Cassandra starts learning, like, you know, oh, this is the cult of Shiva. They worship you. And everybody's like, it's not her specifically. It's like what she did for us. She helped us. This character I really liked. He's a high priest in this Shiva cult. And he basically is like, he seems like just like a normal, regular dude. He's laughing. He's like, oh, you look so much like your mother. And he's like, oh, I get why you don't like her. But, you know, she saved my family. So this is the least I can do. So it really humanizes Shiva and her side, even though she's not to be trusted. But that's
no, not at all.
That's the, what do you call it? That's the drama of it.
That's the dichotomy.
The dichotomy. Drama. Yes, that's what I was looking for. So Cass starts, you know, being, you know, taken aback, like, that's not what I expected from my mom. And then she notices that there are, like Andrew said, League of Shadows people on board.
This next, I think they take like 6 pages to show this next sequence.
But
the way that they do it was like the standout in the issue for me, because I was like, that's a really cool way to show this sequence.
Like, I was really, I don't know what it is about this healer guy, just his characterization as sort of a very normal, non-evil guy who we can all sort of understand. I really liked him and the way he interacted with Cass. And then so I was like, oh, I'm loving this already. And then we got this bit, and I was just absolutely blown away. So like Andrew and I said, Cass discovers that there's a League of Shadows people on the train, and she immediately goes into like action mode. It's time to fight. And there
we go. I was about to ask if you could show it in the both page.
I was making sure, baby.
All right.
But yeah, so Cass leaps into action, and we get this amazing. How would you describe this? Like
you're showing it. It's almost so the way that I would describe it is it's similar to when you're talking TV and film, how you call something a single take or a single shot, right? Where it's continuous, right?
Yeah,
there's no breaks in the shot. You're following the character and you're following the action the entire time. There's no cuts. And that's what this felt like to me. And they do this for 3 pairs of pages,
guys.
Well, 3 pairs. So you're 6
you're
total
right.
pages.
Yeah, 6 total pages. Yeah, no, you're right.
So which was so cool to see. Like it just props to both the writer for writing the paneling that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the artist for pulling it off, because this was honestly a standout sequence this week for me in all of my books.
Oh no, this is going to stay with me. Like, I'm going to look at this for inspiration. I'm going to share. There will probably be some point in the coming months where I just go, guys, this was a cool page. And I share it on Twitter because, like, I'm obsessed with it. The motion.
Like, if I was going to write a comic book that was an action type comic book, I would want to utilize something similar to this and be like, if somebody asked me, like, man, that was such a cool thing that you did right there, if they wound up actually enjoying it and being like, where'd you get the inspiration for that? And be like, dude, honestly, Batgirl number 3, 2025. Like, check out pages X through X, right?
X.
Like,
or not
that.
Even, I saw that. Like, you'll know.
Yeah, like that was just like the coolest thing to me, and I was like, that. Why is that not used more?
Right? Like, just there's nothing else I can really say to add to, like. I'm just going to gush about it, and at this point, I'm just going to be like a sports fan who watched his team win the Super Bowl, right. Just like, this is so great, this is so cool. I guess the only thing I would point out, and I said that as if it was going to be negative, but it's a definite positive, is I like, obviously we see all the motion really flows, right? Like, you can tell when Cass is standing here to here to here, it feels like that's how the flow would go. So I really like that. But I also like seeing Shiva trying to, like, be non-lethal and also, like, tend to her, like, tend to the people that are in the fight at the same time. Like you see, like, right here, she's, like, tending to the guy who went down. She's making sure she's not in the way so he can, like, fall over into the seats. And then here, she's, like, holding back a guy who's going to stab Cass, but, like, she could kill him, but she's not. She's just, like, holding him back because obviously they're all on the same side technically right now. So yeah, everything about this, from the coloring to the motion lines. I think it's what really sells it, Andrew, is the fact that we're not just seeing the caboose or like the train car. We're seeing the bottom of it and the outside.
Yeah.
I think that even though it's not, like, particularly detailed or the artist does anything special with it, like, those are some very basic blur effects up there on the tree. Like, we're not going to lie, but it works. It really helps sell that this is all something in motion that is happening, especially because, like, tree starts over here on the first page, moves over here on the second page. So you really feel like this is going.
That also gives you a sense of motion and the speed, because this train isn't crawling along, presumably,
it's a
right?
fucking train.
So that informs the reader that, hey, this action sequence that we're seeing happen in this kind of like X-ray cutout of the train, this car, right? This is happening within the span of, like, just a handful of moments, right?
Like 6 seconds or something.
Yeah, this is a brief snippet of time that this action sequence is taking place within. You can see that based on the movement of the background, and that's cool, and that's smart. That's smart comic book writing.
And then this page, just like the final, like, stamp page on it. We've talked about this before, but one of the artistry techniques I really adore in comic books is something that I learned from Akira Toriyama, which is you set up, the way you deliver action is you have, like, you know, one panel, you go, oh, there's the guy winding up for the punch or whatever. And then, you know, the second panel is maybe, like, let's say it's Goku puts his arm up to, like, catch the punch. And then there's a third panel of the guy's eyes going like, what? You don't and then that's the whole page. Then you flip the page and there's a big old spread of Goku. Like there's the punch to the gut. You don't see a wind up. You don't see him look back. You just see there's the action delivery. And it really gives you that oomph, right? Imagine if we had that same scenario I just described, but you had 4 panels on that page and the bottom panel of that page was Goku punching him back. You'd get what was happening, but you wouldn't have that sense of
it's not as
like,
impactful.
ooh.
You want that follow through. You want that on the page turn.
Exactly. And that is what this page right here does for me. Like you turn that page, it goes back to the one page. It's finally between the
She's
train
kicking
cars,
the dude from one car into the next car.
and she is just, and she has that declaration of like, I am Batgirl. And I'm just like, dude. Yes.
Well, also,
Cass.
we didn't even talk about this because we were talking about the action itself. But what she's describing throughout this sequence, where she's talking about like how she relates and identifies with the other member of the Bat family, her family, the people she considers her adoptive family, is super freaking cool.
Well,
she names all of them.
She names all, even the ones we don't like. She names Duke. I don't give a shit
she names
about
Duke. I don't give 2 craps about Duke.
But I was like, hey, Duke, right? Like it was almost like a Jimmy Watch moment. I was like, hey, cool. But
exactly.
But to like reinforce that, you also have the setup of in the first train car panel, which is right here. She's like, I hate Lady Shiva. Like she is awful. She is everything I am not. And then she goes into that like, what am I? I am Barbara's will, Stephanie's heart, Tim's wit, Jason's grit, Damien's guts, Duke's hope, and Dick's faith. I am Alfred's care. I am Bruce's pride. And then I am Batgirl. I'm all that.
That last
so
one was
more.
actually pretty cool. The like, I'm Bruce's pride.
I was wondering because obviously we're like, as in reading it, I'm seeing
we're
like,
scaling up.
Right. And I'm like, oh, you're naming all the Bat family. What are you going to say for Bruce? I was legitimately like, his tenacity? Like, but no, she got exactly what Bruce technically is. So,
it's just such a well-written sequence.
Just an amazing sequence. Good job. I think it's Tate Bromble, and I forget the artist. We'll look at it when we get to the end. But yeah, so then we just get the that fight scene. Then we get the reveal that Nyssa Al Ghul is alive and is part of this war, which honestly kind of weak for me because I don't even remember what Nyssa's done in comics.
I honestly don't either. I was like, oh, I kind of remember you.
I remember her from Arrow, right? Like, and that's it. And also funny enough that another week of Nyssa talk, because we were talking about Nyssa last week with the Witchblade, like potential casting. Right. And now we're like right back to Nyssa again. But yeah, I don't know what she's done lately. I don't know how they've used her. I'm sure once we keep going in the story, like Bromble will deliver because he's done it so far with these issues. It was just, it is what it is. This is clearly supposed to be like an oomph moment and just wasn't anything. I was just like, okay, cool. Nyssa.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Marcia. Oh, no, that's the, why is what the hell? Oh, okay. Never mind. I was looking at that box and I'm like, why did they only cite the cover people? But all the other ones are up here. It's Tate Bromble writing with Takeshi Miyazawa on art. So Miyazawa, clearly a Japanese artist, taking that manga influence. Keep it up.
And it works. It works really well.
1,000%.
It's like, it's not too dissimilar from the current house style, honestly. If we're talking like Mora and Jimenez and over at Marvel, Chichetto, like there's a similar, you can see a definite through line in terms of style for them.
So,
and it works really well.
That's something that's super interesting to me. And I want to, like, maybe not on this show because we still have more books to go through. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe once we get paid things up, we'll make it a paid thing. But I know that, like, you have talked about, you don't like some of the more stylized books we read. Like, the last 2 Batman issues I know you weren't a fan of. You're not a big fan of the Absolute Wonder Woman art. So, which is fine. Like, I'm not, like, I get it. I see your criticisms. But then you go for this one and you're like, I see the through line. On my end, I'm like, this is almost as heavily stylized as that with a little more detail. So I'd just be interested to pick your brain on that, like, aspect. If you can do it short, we can talk about it here. I don't know how much you want to go into it.
Just very briefly, because I don't want to put too much fine a point on it, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because we do still have 2 more books to go through. But there's a distinct similarity between how the artist is shaping faces and expressions to how we see in the other books. There's certainly differences in detail in terms of environments and other things about the art, but there's something very similar, and there's that through line in the faces, in the shaping of the faces, and in the way that expressions, especially with the eyes, are done. That makes me think, oh wow, like I'm seeing some Tichetto in there, or I'm seeing some Mora in there, and it makes me happy because right now I haven't, as somebody who's been reading comic books for a really long time, I haven't seen a kind of like general through line kind of pseudo accepted house style across publishers
for a while now
that I have enjoyed for a really long time. Because like back in the 2000s, even like the mid 2000s, there were a lot of super varied styles, but there was this house style that was like trying to be kind of realistic, almost too much so. It was utilized a lot in the Ultimate Universe. And
the Brian Hitch, Doug Mankey, Ivan Reis.
And it was just
whoever drew fucking Civil War.
Yes, like the artist that was in Civil War, whose name is escaping me right now, and that probably makes me a fake comic book fan.
I know that's what I'm doing too. I'm like, I know him. He's great, and I don't. Fuck.
He is. It's just one of those things where it's like I don't want to see too much of that. Like I don't want that all over the place.
You don't want too much of the house like stylization, or the more stylized things
of that specific style.
Gotcha.
Being too widespread. I feel like that can work in pockets, but in that kind of area where it was
Steve
all over
McNiven.
The place.
Of course, it's Steve McNiven. He's amazing. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
No, fantastic. Definitely impressive and
why are we
talented. But, right? I can't answer that question. I'd probably make a lot more money if I could.
Yeah, none of you answer that either. That was not open for discussion.
This is not an open question or open note quiz. But yeah, like super talented, all the respect in the world. That's one of those styles that I want to take in doses. And there was an era where that style it permeated the industry far more.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now, like this style, I'm totally good with being more widespread. Like I like this because also similar to why am I forgetting the name of the artist? But also the artist that's on Psylocke right now, very similar. Or the artist that we've mostly seen on Phoenix as well. Like there are similarities. There's a through line where it works.
Yeah, that's actually a good
I feel
point.
like it's a very clean enough style that works well within mainstream comics.
It doesn't like over detail itself.
Correct. It still feels like a comic book.
Yeah, and you know what? To sort of loop it around a little bit. Obviously, now, guys, we're looking at Psylocke just to give you that comparison of what we were talking about. But it's like the difference in that of the Avengers art we were just looking at, right?
Yeah.
Like there was too much detail, too much like fine shading where it got weird, like into an uncanny valley. Whereas here, we're letting our because they're not asking. It's that thing where like you can either make it super, super detailed, but it has to be very realistically detailed where our eyes go like,
Correct.
That is real. Because otherwise we just go too much detail, really weird looking, I don't know what. But with styles like this and Batgirl, I don't want to call it simple, but the cleanliness of it makes it so like this shot here of Psylocke being a little concerned. We see it. Our brains can now fill in what that would look like if we were looking at it face to face. And we go, I get it. But if she was really detailed,
Scarlet Witch right now does the same thing.
Scarlet Witch is another good one, like example of that.
I would loop all of those in to the same general kind of similar house style that I'm really down with.
Yes,
I'm actually at the point where if I see that as being kind of the interiors for a book, I'm far more likely to grab it and check it out.
No, that's rad. I'm all about that. I'm glad. I really wanted to know that just for my own end because I'm curious. I like to hear other people's thoughts, inputs, differences, all that fun stuff. No judgments. But before we move on from this book, I will give you my one judgment that I can't get over, and this is more of just me being a prick. But Cass has this picture the entire arc, she keeps looking back to it. Doesn't seem like a smart idea for all of the Bat family to get together and take a photo in their non-identities. Because the second
who are all these people? Why are they all together?
Oh look, why are all these people with Bruce Wayne? Hey, now that I think about it, there is a black. The signal's black. There is a redheaded Batgirl. Oh, guess what? I just found out all of who you are.
I just figured out who the entire Bat family is. Yeah, that. I'm with you there. It's really I understand what they're going for because they really are trying to. They're trying to have this contrast between Lady Shiva is her blood family, right? But this is her actual family.
Yeah.
And she's now left her actual family at the behest and manipulation of her blood family, right? And so she's yearning for her actual family, who she deems to be her actual family. She misses them. She's doing this because she's been sold this probably lie that this is all to protect them, right? Because who in the right mind is actually going to trust Lady Shiva's word? So I do get what they're going for there, but yes, to your point, it's silly to have that photo where it's literally all of the Bat family together. They have their masks off. They're all there. It's okay. That was a moment where it was suspension of disbelief. It was okay, I get it, but
you and I, that was my exact thing. I was I get it. And when you were explaining it all, I was yep, I totally get that read, but it's there was probably a better way to do this, because
you could have had something as simple as just a single or two flashback panels in her mind of her remembering a moment of them all together, right? That's it. That's all you need to do.
You could have even had put them in their suits. They all know who they are, right?
Yeah.
They don't.
And the readers know who they are. We know who they are.
So if a bad guy found it, it would just be oh, it's the Bat family. Okay. But now it's oh, Bruce Wayne's only got two sons. He has a Dick Grayson and he has Damian.
Damian, yeah.
Who the hell are the rest of these people? Looks awfully suspicious like the rest of the Bat family.
Exactly.
But yeah.
We know who all these characters are. We know what they look like under the masks. Unless this is Netflix, in which case we also already know what they look like under the masks. So, there you go.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those dumb moments. It doesn't really take away from anything. We get it. But if we were writing our own books, we probably would have handled it differently. Sure. Yo, it is a Nick. What is going on?
What is going on, brother?
All right, with Batgirl knocked out, again, amazing book. Where do you want to jump now? We've got 3-4 books that we could totally hit. 2 books that I think we really want to hit. Where's your mind headed right now?
Let's quick hit Batman, because honestly, we could quick hit JSA, but it was just kind of meh for me. I don't care enough.
I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on where do you stand after this issue, because that's kind of
where I stand on this issue is I'm probably dropping this after the first arc is where I'm standing on the issue because point, I'm just not interested. I'm kind of bored.
At this point, I don't even know if I can make it through the first arc.
It's not awful. It's just kind of boring, and I'm not invested enough into the characters that most of the time is being put into.
That are being focused on, yeah.
So if instead they were focusing more on
Jay
or Jesse, right? Then I'd be a little more inclined to write it out and say, okay, what are you going to do with these characters? You're going to respect them a little bit. So far, they haven't. But right now, I'm just kind of I was reading through it, and while I didn't outright dislike it like I did Ultimates this week, I was just kind of this is kind of a chore to get through this week right now. I feel like this is a slot I could empty pretty easily in my pull list and not feel bad about it right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went with it.
I don't care about what's happening, honestly.
I think I think I said this when we talked about the last issue, but dude, I don't care about the Hawk people. I personally, I just don't care. And so now they're trying to focus all this drama on them. And it's even like weird disconnected drama. This is what made me really angry. So,
oh yeah, the whole Kendra versus Shaira stuff. Yeah.
Well, because this goes back to the thing that you and I are always making fun of, which is the everything is canon now. So you canonize everything, and now we have this weird. So Shaira is Hawkwoman, but they're not connected. I don't know. And then she has this like line about like, because she talks about like, I have this need to go find Carter. Like we're connected, but I recognize that our thing is different now because he broke the cycle. He found whoever the other one is right now, Shaira. There's like 900 of them. Kendra, yeah. So she's like, I don't have that like love connection to him, but I should go after him. And then she says this line about like, it's a different compulsion. He's like my big brother. And to me, that just kind of ruins the entire Hawk mythos.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't carry the same
whole
weight.
Thing was that they were in love and they have to watch each other die over and over and over and over and over. It's what was it? Hancock friggin'
actually.
Like Hancock literally ripped that off.
Great first half of a movie, terrible second half of a movie, by the way.
Awful second half.
I love Hancock up until they start getting into the like, oh, we're ancient Egyptian deities, and I'm like, oh God, be quiet.
It's like you're literally just trying to be Hawkeye or Hawkman right now.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And I also, this is just like a weird moment I had where they bring Hawkman to Surtur, and I had this realization where I'm like, I don't give a shit about the DC Surtur. What if this was the Marvel Surtur? I might care, but like, we've never like this guy doesn't do anything.
Yeah. No. Right now, this book feels like it's going nowhere, even though it has characters that I do care about. It's not putting enough time on the characters that I care about for me to care about the book as a whole. So I literally picked up this book because I wanted more Jay Garrick.
I wanted it because we were getting Jesse.
Her obviously her as well. I love Jesse Quick, but they're the primary reasons why I picked up this book from issue 1 in the first place. And we got 2 issues of them kind of writing Jesse out of character and like barely having Jay in it at all. And so I'm just at this point, I'm like, I'm kind of teetering on the edge of emailing my LCS and being like, yeah, I'm gonna drop JSA.
I'm done with this one. Yeah, no,
I'll just like, I'll be like, hey, could you like back order me the Jay Garrick trade paperback?
I'm surprised you haven't gotten it yet. I've read it and it's actually
because my LCS has not had it in stock like at all.
That's so weird. That's so obviously there's it's not a ding on your LCS. I'm just like, I've seen it in all of mine and like the bookstore. So like that's crazy that they don't have it. Just one of those things.
Yeah.
Also, like, personal disappointment for me, you guys remember, I was like, oh, cool, the 90s Sandman is back. And now they just kind of turned him into like I'm in love with you, but you don't love me. Like, and I was like, really? Really? Like, I don't want this. Like, this sucks. But yeah, this book.
JSA is not supposed to be a YA novel book.
Right.
Like,
if anything, it should be for the old heads.
people who are picking up JSA are picking it up because, like, they grew up with the JSA and they like the JSA. Right, so this is, I mean, the book so far has been a pretty big nothing burger.
In retrospect, you and I maybe should have inferred something when we started off the first page of a JSA book and see how it says Mystery Men up there? Remember the first box for the JSA book was Infinity Inc. because it was introducing all of the like Sandman, Jade, like we're here now because everybody's been abducted. So yeah, this book is just,
it's meh.
Yep. Nick here. So Nick says Diamond has had shipping issues. That is why certain books have not been coming into certain shops. There is more to it, but it is affecting shops nationwide. Funny and okay. So I didn't realize that was also affecting like trade distribution. That would make sense. But it's funny Nick brings us up because you and I, this is again another citation of our mysterious comic book truck crash of like 2024, where if you guys remember, we bring it up pretty much every week, but near the end of the year last year, something went wrong with a Diamond distribution delivery, whether like a truck or an air freighter or something, and they went, things are going to be delayed, but it wasn't everywhere. Like Andrew got his books that week, and I got my books that week. Next week, Andrew didn't have them. I had them. Next week after that, Andrew had him. I didn't have him. Next week
it
after
was
that,
super weird.
Then Tehillim last week was like, I didn't get my books. And I'm like, it's all over the place. So not surprised that is what's in play here. But yeah, it's just funny that keeps coming back to bite us in the butt. Nick, I'm curious, what is the first new DC comic you're going to buy next week ever? Or do you just mean like in a while?
In the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, because I know Nick's a big Marvel guy. Oh, yeah, you're right. In 4 or 5 years. So curious what you're going to pick up. And then Nick also says, with how huge the Bat family is, how is there any more crime? I don't know who has a bigger family, Batman or the Fast and the Furious crew. At this point, it's Batman, and this goes back to the power scaling conversation.
That goes back to the problem of scaling that I brought up so many times.
Where they keep throwing in all of these new, like, oh, here's Batwoman and Batwoman 4 and Robin 8 and We Are Robin and The Signal and all of this stuff, to the point where it goes, well, what are they supposed to fight, right, Nick? Like,
we have Duke or Luke or Jace. We've got just too many dang people, and it's not justified.
There's, especially because all of the villains are like, you know, outside of things like Killer Croc, they're just guys. So even when you get to the fight portion of it, you don't need more than like Batman and Robin, maybe Nightwing if you really want to like.
Batman and Robin used to be the ones handling business for the longest time. It was just the two.
It was just them. So we say it a lot on the show. Most, if not all, of the superhero families need to be heavily reduced, from Superman to Spider-Man to Flash to, like, everybody needs to go. I guess the Green Lanterns can stay because that's kind of their deal. Like, they're a core.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, get rid of pretty much everybody. I know Andrew would say get rid of everybody who's not Peter. I'll put a small asterisk for Ben and Kane because I like them. But then, like, you know, get rid of Avery on the Flash family. Get rid of Wallace, whatever.
Ace.
So
see,
stupid.
I don't even like referring to him as Ace, because dog's name's Ace, and so I associate that with a good boy. I don't give two craps about Wallace, so just get rid of him. He's done nothing. He contributes nothing.
That's the trap, because it's like, I don't want to give Wallace any credit by calling him Ace, but I don't want to call him Wallace because that's our boy. So we'll call him Dick Shit or McShit. I don't know. We'll come up with a better name for this on this show. We don't like him. It'll come naturally.
Dan
Aquaman.
DiDio's Wallace is what it was.
So Nick says he's picking up this Aquaman book by Jeremy Adams and John Timms.
I've deliberately not read, so that this preview was like 6 pages or 5 or 6 pages of a preview.
Oh, it's 3, but it's 5 with the cover and the like.
Oh, okay,
little thing.
So I skipped all of those in every single DC book that I had this week, even though it was in literally all of them, because I am picking up this book when it comes out, because it's written by Jeremy Adams, and Jeremy Adams is a really good, strong, reliable writer.
We both
and
been
the
pretty
art
excited
looks
for this
really
one
clean.
Since they announced this one, you and I have both been like, "Oh, this is the
first time I've looked forward to an Aquaman comic sinmes Johns was writing.
Since Johns, yeah. I still love that first New 52 issue of Aquaman where he like walks onto the shore or whatever, and they're like, "Don't you?" And he like goes to the restaurant and he sits down. He's like, "Can I get like the trout or whatever?" And they're like, "Don't you talk to fish?" And he just gives them this look of like, "Come on, like
really."
Like, this is not 1950 anymore. You guys know who I am. But yeah,
this book right here is so good.
I haven't looked at any of the previews for this. I did catch this preview image here, just going through the books, of this like water kaiju. Don't know what it's going to be, but it looks kind of cool. So I'm in for it. Like,
I'm here for it.
Let's see what happens. I'm also really happy, Andrew. We talked about this, but I don't think we did the follow-up. So Aquaman was the first all-in series they announced after the initial slate. They were like, here's all this all-in. Oh, and then we're going to give you Aquaman. And they said this. So then they announced like, oh, we're going to give it an all-in cover, which is like just Aquaman on it, but it wasn't done by Daniel Sampier, which kind of sucked because he was doing all the other ones. But more to the point, I'm glad that all the other all-in books that started late are now getting the foil treatment they gave all the other ones. Because like, I'm sure the other OCD people out there like us who are getting all the books would probably go crazy if they couldn't get all the all-in style covers. And the JSA one looks really cool, by the way. The one you picked up.
Oh, that foil one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the oh gosh,
I really like that one. Oh, I also forgot to.
I was honestly shocked at how much I liked that one too. I was like, wow, that actually looks pretty cool. Where is it? Just as JSA. Here we go. Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, with the because I like the effects on it and everything.
Yeah, this is a cool cover. This is a cool cover. I'm here for this one.
Dr. Fate. You also, and I wanted to bring this up, and I don't know why I took it down, but while we were talking about this, you also picked up. Wait, that's not what I wanted. I need to pick up. This is what we want to look at. No, stop doing that. Yeah, you picked up this cover for Batgirl. And it's a
yes,
cool cover.
That's the one that I picked up. Yeah, I opted
really
for
like
that
it.
one over the standard, so I grabbed the cardstock one. Yeah, I liked that one mainly because the art itself was really cool, but I also liked the pose more with her holding just based on her heritage and everything. Like her holding the katana there was pretty badass for me. I was like, all right, yeah.
And on her tippy toes.
I'm here for it for sure.
Yeah, it's a really pretty one. I almost picked it up, but now that I'm looking at it, I might go back for it. Oh, ouch, Andrew, ouch. Nick says he has the box. He has the J. Scott box.
Oh, screw you, Nick. I'm gonna tug at your beard.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, Nick. We didn't know this book existed or this box existed until a couple weeks ago when Mary was out with Andrew, and we've been obsessed with finding it for him ever since. Neither of us have yet. And then earlier we were like, where's this artwork from? So this is our Ark of the Covenant right now. We're studying it.
I need it.
My last book I had prior to dropping DC completely, he has 2 of them. Don't even offer one to Andrew. This is awesome. This is my favorite development of the show. Not even a response. Yes, exactly, Klingeek. We are in Boxgate. And he is frozen out. He has no idea how to reply to the fact that you have 2 of what he wants.
That's rude.
Boxgate 2025. The channel might not
really rude.
Last that much longer. But yeah, my last book I had prior to dropping DC completely was Hawkman from Venditti. What a run. I remember that actually being
Robert
interesting.
Venditti is solid.
I like Venditti a lot. I don't even know where he is nowadays. I don't think he's writing anything for DC. He might.
No, I think he's doing. Is he doing something for Image right now?
I was just about to say, is he ghost machining? It feels like he would be.
I think he's doing something over in the Ghost Machine universe.
Venditti Ghost Machine. He has to be, right?
The heck is he writing right now?
What is he? No, it doesn't look like he was
right now
on anything.
Really? What the heck?
I would have every time I put in Venditti Ghost Machine and everything is Venditti talking about his Hawkman run.
So the last things he was on. Oh wow, there was a gap there. So he did Supergirl Volume 7 Annual number 2 in 2020, and then after that he did Wesley Dodd's Sandman.
I remember that one
in 2023 and 2024.
That's a really random slate of things he's doing.
It is. So that's shocking. But I mean, he's a good writer. So
I love him.
Maybe he's just collecting royalties and being like, yeah, you know what? I'll do a project if it interests me.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
there are writers that can do that. Chuck Dixon over at the Rippaverse is one of those writers that can be like, yeah, if I kind of feel like doing something, I could do that.
Dixon, like Grant Morrison, Mark Millar. It's the guys from our heydays. But then
exactly.
Nick points out Ghost Machine just has Tomasi and Johns as writers right now.
Is it really only just them?
Is it really just them?
No, that can't be right because Tynion's over there too, isn't he? I could have sworn Tinian was over at Image with the Ghost Machine universe as well.
Ghost Machine Company. Let's see. We have Jeff Johns, Peter Tomasi, a couple one-shots by like new creators, but no, that's it.
Really?
Rook is by Johns, Redcoats is by Johns. Oh, wow. And then, yeah, I know Tomasi just launched like the Rocket Fellers or whatever that one is, the family book, because it reminds me of Super Sons. Interesting. Oh, there's a Brad Meltzer one too, or like a story,
okay.
like a short story. It looks like,
For some
really
reason,
weird.
I thought Tinian was doing something over there as well, but I guess I was misremembering. All right, well,
yeah. Well, glad to know that that's where they all are. Nice trip down memory lane. Get Vendetti in there. I feel like that would be a great addition to the Ghost Machine stuff. But you guys don't want to hear about Ghost Machine because we haven't been reading Ghost Machine, unfortunately. We will catch up someday because I did really enjoy what I was reading of it. Let's see.
I think we hit Abso.
Oh, you didn't want to hit Batman? You didn't want to like super shot Batman real quick?
If we can give it 5 minutes, otherwise,
I think we can give it 5 minutes. I don't have a lot to say about it, but
yeah, it's just been kind of Zdarsky's only kind of meh right now on it, which is sad because I heard that like his prior. I'm not caught up. I heard that like his work that he was doing prior to All In was actually really solid.
It was.
So right now this arc is just kind of for me, which is like like I said earlier, I'm enjoying Batgirl more than I am Batman.
Right
now.
So basically, guys, the quick rundown of this is that we are getting everything coming to a head. We're learning about Riddler's plans, that he framed Gordon, that they're trying to bring down Wayne Tech. All the stuff is sort of coming to a head. What I really wanted to ask you specifically, Andrew, was I know you like me, we were really excited about the plot. Like, what's Eddie going to do now? Like, Eddie Nigma, like, what's Riddler up to? How is this all how is the centrifuge going to play? Who's
and they gave away the mystery too quickly.
Okay, I was going to ask you, like, didn't this feel like they kind of just ran through it really fast for no reason?
Yeah, like look, neither of us had any delusions that we thought Eddie was going to go straight forever in perpetuity.
No.
This is the Riddler we're talking about, for Christ's sake. However, you can still make that story work and pace it such that you don't give away the, oh no, he hasn't gone straight, he really is still a bad guy, blah 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 blah, without doing that right away. But they did that right away. They did that like 2 issues in.
Two issues in, and it was like, and now we're 4 issues in, and they're resolving it. Like all of the story is coming to a head, and I feel like we had so much more we could have milked here. Or not milk, because that sounds bad, but like so much more we could have explored, right? We had...
Correct. You could have teased a little bit more of a mystery there.
Teased more of a mystery. This Gordon, even though it was kind of the low point of the book, if you wanted the Gordon murder mystery to mean something, you could have had that go on for a while. You didn't need it to be like, oh, I found the solution, everybody's good now, right? Like, it just feels like we had to wrap up a season of a show because we got canceled. And
right, like we had to all of a sudden, condense several episodes into 2, and we lost a lot of the story arc and plot as a result.
A lot of the like oomph, a lot of the parts where we would have been like, oh wow, crazy, is now just like, really? Like, I would have expected this in Act 3 or 4, not Act 1. But the other thing I wanted to point out about this, which is really I thought was sort of really stupid, is what's the best graphic for this? Well, we do learn, which I kind of liked this twist, that we learn that Commander Star is KG Beast. Cool little twist. Didn't expect it to be him. Makes sense. Like I'm always sort of a fan of these like Thunderbolts type stories, right? Where you have like a villain who pretends to be a hero, but like it's not gonna hold, but everybody loves him. I'm always sort of a fan of those. But we learned that the Court of Owls. So if you guys in the chat like remember, all of this is the plot of the current Zdarsky run is Eddie Nigma, new tech genius guru, trying to take over Wayne Tech, frames Gordon for murdering the mayor, and is working under the Court of Owls to sort of take over Gotham from underneath Wayne. And so in this issue, we learn that yes, the Court of Owls is funding Eddie, but they're doing it on behalf of Russia, right?
Yeah.
Like, so to me, this isn't, I didn't see a political swing to this because Russia's always been a boogeyman for us, right? Like ever since the Cold War.
They've been a boogeyman for us, since the Cold War. This isn't a recent development in storytelling.
But what bugs me is it's like, this is DC. You didn't need to make like Russia the enemy. You could have made it KG Beast on his own. Or it could have been like
And utilizing KG
or
Beast.
something.
Utilizing KG Beast is interesting. Like that's something where it's like,
right.
okay, all right, let's see what you got. But yeah, otherwise I don't know. This story isn't going anywhere interesting for me anymore after that first issue.
No, I know.
Because they gave away all of the interesting potential mystery in the second issue. And it was like, oh, well, I was kind of here just to see how you were going to play this out. And you already resolved it. So why do I care?
Why?
Spoiler alert, I kind of don't. And so this is a book where I'm not necessarily saying is immediately on the chopping block for me. I don't really have that much investment in it right now. Like I flipped through it and I read it today.
Yeah.
Quickly. It was a quick read, but it was just like, okay, so that happened. I'm gonna read Batgirl now. And I enjoyed Batgirl way more.
No, I was going through this book and I was just like, this actually sucks. Like this is a bad turn. I got to this last page here and went, oh, cool. And that was it. Because I like, you know me, like I've been a big fan of the Commander Star thing since issue 1. Like I liked him. I liked all of that. And KG Beast, cool move. We don't see him a lot. And he is one of those guys who can just be brutal to be brutal. It just like it didn't need to be like Russia is going to take over the world. I don't know, man. Do the League of Assassins, do something fantastical. Like if I wanted that, I'll go watch Reacher. Or I'll go watch like Mission Impossible. I don't need a Batman story to be, we got to stop the Russians. It just doesn't work.
I'll just watch frickin' Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Exactly. Or whatever the new one that's coming out, right? Like it's going to fight the Russians. You know that. You know it is.
Always.
Clone Geek says Hush 2 starts in March.
Don't care.
Do not care.
I mean, outside of more Jim Lee art, like I don't. That's not a story that really.
I feel bad because it's like Jim Lee doesn't get to draw comics, and when they do get him in, he gets to draw Hush.
Here's a follow-up to a story that was definitely good, but it was 2 decades ago now.
2 decades ago, and don't even. I'll mention this here, and I'll probably think of a more succinct way to start like summarizing this to everybody. But this story, Hush 2, they're doing like the 2-part thing. They're gonna do 6 issues of it, like in the beginning of the year. Then go back to regular Batman stories, and then wrap it up later in the year with 6 more issues. Shut up! Like, no, not doing that.
The original Hush ran through 2002 and 2003, so 2 decades ago now. Over 2 decades ago.
Like, come on, Jeff Loeb, just go do something.
I was not yet in high school.
That means I wasn't.
So depending on what month this wrapped in, I wasn't a freshman yet.
Batman Hush. Let's see. Batman Hush.
That's wild.
That is actually kind of insane to think about. Publication date, October 2002 to September 2003.
Okay, so I started high school.
Dude, I was still in middle school. I was 12.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah, Clone's here too. I wasn't even born when Hush finished. And now they're going right back to it, which is just like, oh yeah, Clone Geek. The big two are just trying to relive the early OOs. They're trying to do that. It just isn't working most of the time. It makes them reset too often, and it never works for them. But what does work for them is creating brand new universes where you can take new spins on your characters.
Book of the week.
Guys, this book, Absolute Superman, I think I'm with you, Andrew. It's probably my favorite of the Absolute line. Even Hook Batman aside, I will always lose my mind for when Batman uses his hook. But my God, like Jason Aaron, I can't believe this is a Jason Aaron book.
Well, we said this last issue, so last month, where Jason Aaron's one of those writers where he's either hitting it or he is whiffing it. And he has more whiffs than he has hits. And this happens to be one of the hits. And right now, so far, that shoe's always going to be hanging up there, right?
Yes,
waiting
absolutely.
for it to drop. But right now, he's writing the best of the Absolute books because he's doing a really good job of balancing, setting up the backstory and providing context for why Cal is still who he is, in the present, and then in the present showing Cal to be Cal, showing that this is a tricky line to walk, and this is actually going to tie into something I'll talk about later once we're wrapping up, because Mary and I are actually going through Smallville right now together. When it comes to Superman as a character, you and I have talked about this. We talked about this pretty heavily with the second issue, where he maintained that earnestness.
Oh, yeah.
And that sense of hope, right? And normally you attribute that to because he grew up with the Kents, right? That kind of Midwestern Bible Belt, salt of the earth, genuinely good-hearted, strong moral center couple adopted and raised him. And that's why Superman is who he is. What we're getting in the Absolute universe is we're seeing that, unlike some other iterations, not all, but some other iterations of his birth parents on Krypton, his parents on Krypton are not one-to-one, but you can definitely see similarities to the Kents in them. And so that this is something that is inherent and biological and hereditary and instilled in him regardless. Because in the Absolute universe, he grew up for the first several years of his life still with his parents, rather than being sent to Earth as a baby, right? As an infant. So he got to know his parents far more and have that parental imprint and nurture put onto him. And we're seeing that. And to his credit, Jason Aaron is doing a good job of showing us that balance, to where in the present storyline that we're seeing, Superman is still Superman. And that's important. If he's not Superman, honestly, I don't care. I'm not interested.
Right. I don't want an Ultraman or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not interested in an Ultraman. I'm like Red Sun. I don't care, honestly. I know a lot of people are like, that's, they like it as a one-shot, a one-off, and Elseworlds. The storytelling itself, cool. The fact that it's Superman, though, makes me not care. Injustice. I understand
on the Red Sun one, because he still is Superman at the end of the day in Red Sun. Like, that's the whole climax of it, is that he's still
sure.
So that's
once you get to the end. Once you get to the end, sure. But like most of it, it doesn't do it for me. Like I said, the writing itself is good.
Yeah.
Just the thing as a totality doesn't do it for me. Injustice. I understand where they're going with it. Like, okay, cool, well written, at least up to a certain point. Then it just becomes like, hey, here's shock value death after shock value death for no good reason at all. And it's obnoxious and stupid. And I lost interest in that really quickly. But here they're not doing that. Here they're keeping Superman. And they're showing us both in the present and in the past with him on Krypton that he's who he's supposed to be. And we're seeing why he is that way. And we're seeing the building blocks of that in his early life as he's growing up as a young boy on Krypton, rather than it just being instilled on Earth for him. We're actually getting to see that relationship with his parents we don't normally get to see in other continuities. And I'm really enjoying that. And he's doing a good job of it so far. I'm on board.
No, yeah, like you put it all perfectly. This book is still Superman at its. This is what we were talking about, where like we want to see the characters in the Absolute universe be different. We want their circumstances changed, but still at their core, that's who you are. And this one is really delivering it in spades. So quick rundown, because we'll just run down it, because I know we have more to talk about than just plot related stuff. So this issue, we actually don't go back to the present. This is all on Krypton.
Yeah.
And we learn a lot about Clark's childhood. We learn that he is a sort of a meek kid. He isn't really sociable, not popular. He wants to hang out with his dog and his parents. He's what do you call it? Like
can relate.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We've all gotten that.
That's a mood.
we get this amazing scene right here, speaking to what Andrew was talking about with him being raised and getting his Superman values, in that if you remember last issue, there was the whole bit that Andrew and I pointed out where on Krypton, you have to write your essays with an AI that only pulls from like verified sources. You don't write anything. You don't really do the research. You just regurgitate
government verified sources.
Bingo. You just regurgitate the propaganda. And he goes out and he writes his own essay, and they don't like that. So they call home to his parents, and we get the follow-up here where his parents, they all go out on this like hiking trip. They go, hey, we got a call from your teacher. We got to talk. And I'm not going to lie, Andrew, at this moment, I thought we were going to see, not in a bad way, but a sort of a dichotomy between how the Kents would have raised him and how the L's would have raised him. Not that it would have been radically different. Like, it's not like the Kents would have been like, you know, be you and always fight for truth. And the L's would have been like, be an asshole. Like, don't ever like defy people. But, you know, maybe the Kents are like, be yourself, go do truth and justice. And the L's are like, you know, rein it in a little bit, because if you try to show off too much, everybody's just going to hate you. So I thought that's where we were coming, but no, we get his parents going, you know, kind of fulfilling that Ma Pa Kent role, telling him like, good, be that.
Keep it up.
If that is who you are, follow that. It doesn't matter what they say. Like, you will do great things. And I loved it. I think that we don't get enough of that from parents at all, or just familial figures, if you will, like in general in society anymore. So I was like, this is a sweet moment. Like, this is a really good family dynamic. Again, great family. This is really nice. So unfortunately, the rest of the issue sort of revolves around Krypton's coming to an end. All of the destruction we've seen in the core building up over these last issues, it's finally coming to the surface. We find the animals are starting to die. The crops are starting to die. It's a pretty harrowing scene, actually. Like, I don't know. I really liked this page.
Yeah, there was a really cool distinction that they there's a really cool distinction that they made between this and other iterations of Krypton blowing up, where typically in any instance where you have Jor-El trying to plead with the council and with Kryptonian government of like, hey, listen to me. Our planet is about to freaking lose its self. It's about to blow up, right? We're about to lose our home and everybody's going to die if we don't do something. Instead, they ignore him. But the reason they ignore him is a unique one, because instead the High Council knew, but what it was is that the scientific and governmental elite wanted strictly themselves to make it off the planet. And so the propaganda they were trying to sell is that, hey, you know, the Labor Guild and all of them, like anybody who isn't part of the government, high order, and the scientific elite, who cares if you all perish, right, on this planet when it blows? It's just, we're going to save ourselves. They were actually building starships already themselves, using up vast resources, and probably thereby, as subsequently, resulting in the expediting of
I
the
didn't
planet
even think about that.
getting destroyed. So they were contributing to it for the sake of saving their own tails. That was super interesting to me, and I love that. I love that take on it, because people in government, by and large, don't care about you.
No.
They care about themselves. That's why people go into positions of being civil servants and end up multimillionaires. They're not here to serve you. They're not here to protect you. They are there for their own skin and for the power that it gets them and the access that it gets them. And this was a great take on that. This honestly is such an anti-government book right now that
it's crazy.
The libertarian in me is so here for it, where I'm like, yes, give me more.
I know, that's how I am too. I'm like, yes, that's right. Do not trust them, Clark. Show the truth to them all, Clark. Like, do not sit down for it.
While still telling, with that being the backdrop, because you're at the forefront, you're still telling the story of Kal-El growing up with his parents, who genuinely, you see that they love him, they support him, they want him to be the best version of himself, and you can tell that they're both intelligent and they're both capable people, and they have contingency plans, right? Because Jor-El, he went to the counselor. He tried to go to the counselor. He was going to tell them, hey, you have to listen to me. I'm one of the miners. Like, I understand what's happening here. You have to hear me out. We're going to all freaking die. Obviously, he didn't know yet that they already knew this. They just didn't care that he and the people of his class, his caste, would die. They just cared about themselves. So he gets captured, and you have
I
Cal.
like this scene, by the way, too. Like, Cal and his class go for like a field trip. And then by coincidence, his dad is there trying to tell them, and Cal sees him getting dragged out here and taken away. And I was like, dang, that's a good scene.
Yeah, and Cal gets pissed. He has that moment where he starts to feel kind of a rage because he's seeing this injustice happen, and he's seeing his father, whom he loves and whom he values, being dragged off, and he wants to do something about it, but he's not capable of doing something about it just yet. So he does what his father tells him to do, which is to go tell his mother, and which ends up in like the coolest sequence of the book. And Seriously. This panel, you and I talked about it earlier. I wish that they had let the panel breathe a little bit more and not had that bubble there, because as just a untouched, textless panel, that panel with Cal's mom holding that giant rifle, and they're raring to go save.
Hey, I was gonna use that word.
Father.
I was gonna use raring to go. Yep.
Like, that's a cool image, right? And I wanna say this. There's misinformation going around that's presenting this panel as though Cal's mother is somehow like the main character and focus of like this story, this book.
The super powered one of all the super powered ones.
And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely not.
Literally, all you have to do is just read the book to know that is the complete opposite of the truth, right? It's so stupid. And that suit gets gifted and passed down to Cal. This is just complete intellectual dishonesty, guys. You come here for intellectual honesty. Just read if you have no interest in a book, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to lie about a book. But that's a badass panel. It results in a cool sequence. We get both her and Crypto saving the day, which for me, I mean, you're giving me good as boy, right?
I know.
So
the whole this bit where we still don't know how it works, but like the dust cape went onto Crypto, I was like, fuck yeah, like that is amazing. That is so cool. Like, that is what I am here for.
Yes, give me good as boy. And it ends with a couple of things. So it ends with, once they get Jor-El back safely home, then they let Cal know, like, hey, we got to get out of here, right? We've been building a ship.
But like that, like so that is what happens, but the way
twist.
It plays out, that literally made me drop my jaw and be like, holy. And it's crazy because this isn't even like a character related, I don't know, it was just, so here they all rush back and they're like, we need to tell you something, Clark. And Clark, having already seen everything, he's like, I know this is what's happening, we're gonna build a ship and you're gonna send me like alone without you guys. And they're like, oh, you're like, Cal, you're so amazing. You're mostly right. And they go,
you're almost there.
We'd never shoot you into space by yourself. And at that moment, you're presuming Crypto, right?
Yeah.
Like, or maybe them, maybe Jor-El and Lara. But then you turn it, and they made an entire fucking ship for like other Kryptonians. Like their neighbors.
So them, their immediate family, neighbors, things like that. And that speaks volumes of who his parents are, right? Because yes, if you think back to issue 2, where they're talking about building this thing, initially, the thing that was at the forefront was protecting Cal, right? He was the primary focus, but they were able to parse out resources and have enough time to where they were able to build something larger, with greater capacity. And their immediate thought then, after their son, was, okay, how many other people can we save?
Just just any amount of people,
right?
But that
informs you of the character of his parents,
and just the line of like, oh, Cal, like, we'd never shoot you into space alone. We're going together. Like, I don't know, man. I was like, this is peak. This is peak. It's peak.
Yeah,
I was just, this is where I was sold. The other thing I wanted to point out before we keep going on is So with this, just to your intellectual honesty point, like, guys, a woman doing something cool doesn't mean she's a girl boss. It doesn't make her the hero all of a sudden, right? Like Andrew said, if you see these claims, look at the context. Go investigate it a little more. Do we really think a book that's absolute Superman, where we've spent 2 issues of seeing him trash the Peacemaker or the Lazarus Corps, all of a sudden is going to make his mom, who with a gun, the main hero? Let's be real, guys. That's not even a real thing.
Let's use these.
Yeah,
Can
like
we use these?
Just a little bit. So if you see anybody out there trying to regurgitate anything of, oh, look at the girl bossing, they're being dishonest. They're just trying to stir up shit, and you can safely, put them aside. And it would be better for you because you'll start getting better news sources, and not just from us, but from people like Nick who actually read the comic books.
You should care about credibility. If something is genuinely stupid, we're going to tell you. We've done so. We've definitely done so here. However, this isn't that.
This is like the furthest thing from it. All
this
she
isn't
really
that.
does.
His mom had a cool moment because she wanted to go help save her husband.
Right. And like all she does is save him. She doesn't, stop Krypton from blowing up. She doesn't, have a big knockdown, drag down fight with General Zod in the air. It's she had a rifle and she blew everybody away. And she had
a rifle and a powerful suit, which gets gifted down to Cal. We know this already for the present story that's taking place, and went to go rescue her husband, the man that she loves. That hardly seems out of pocket to me.
It seems completely in pocket. But I will say what's out of pocket is this mask design. I hate it. Like, I just am not a fan of this pointy eared.
Yeah. The mask doesn't really do it for me. It feels so it makes the head seem too Amazo for me.
I was gonna say Amazo. Yeah. Yeah, no, that same here. Maybe that's something, but yeah, I saw this page and I was like, I don't really like that helmet. That's a little weak.
I like the panel overall there, and I like the idea of the suit. I like the kind of red dust cape thing. That's a cool concept.
Sandoval is murdering this book.
Oh, man. Sandoval is just so good.
This man, give him all the Eisners, give him all of the Inkpot awards. Like, this guy's going crazy on this book. It's so good. But after we learned that they're going to try and rescue who they can, we learn that Cal, he let everybody on Krypton know that it's about to blow up. So we're going to see the fallout from that coming next. Then we get a very, very interesting moment where we actually do flash forward, or we go back to the present, and we meet Martha Kent. She is it looks like she's in hospice. She's in a senior living facility. The nurses are kind of framing it as she is, like dementia, delusional, always asking for her son, even though she doesn't have one. But, in those final panels, she's saying like, Angel, where did you go? Like, he'll come back to me, fly back to me. So we don't know what this means. We also see that, in this panel right here, I'll zoom in. There is I got to go to the other one. This image, this photo by her bedside of her, obviously Kent,
looks like Pa Kent's there, and it also looks somebody with a striking similarity to Clark.
So this is our big mystery moment where we get left off. We have Ma Kent.
And that's a mystery I'm actually genuinely curious about.
I'm genuinely curious about it too. And I know we got to be wrapping up because unfortunately we do have a hard time limit tonight, guys. But I wanted to throw this out to you because this is sort of what I thought, and I just want to run it by you. I looked at this page, and we have, Angel, where did you go? Fly back to me. She clearly has a relationship with a Kryptonian, as evidenced by that and the photo. We also got that. So we have this bit of how do I lay this out? So we know that from this photo, from this page, from what she's saying, she knows a Kryptonian of some sort, some flying guy. We know that, Cal on Earth doesn't know anybody. We know that he's still very, very naive to how everything works. Like we saw that with his confrontation with Lazarus and Lois. We also know now that the ship that was meant for Kryptonians wasn't just for him. I wonder, is that his dad? Is that Jor-El?
Oh.
Because Jor-El, somebody else, I think you might have brought it up, but you're like, Jor-El has a striking resemblance to adult Clark. And that was just an early issue, and we were like, of course, it's his dad. But now that I think about it, I see that picture down there, I'm like, whoop, didn't mean to do that. But that picture of the older, well-kept looking gentleman, I'm like, is that Jor-El? Could be Jor-El. Who knows?
Huh. Oh, man, that just makes me more curious and interested to see where they're going with it.
And see, guys, this is what Andrew was talking about. This is good comics. This is, Andrew and I are engaged. We want to see what happens next. We're asking questions based on the narrative. We're not just sitting here going,
and then what happened?
Right.
That's what you want your reader to be asking themselves.
And you want them to walk away from the issue going, like what Andrew just said, like, I cannot wait to learn more about this. And so Absolute Superman, at the end of it, this book
right now is an absolute banger.
I can't get over this book. It's so damn good to the point where it almost makes me sad that it's eventually going to have to cross over into meeting the rest of the Absolute universe. You know what I mean? Like,
because right now it's just great on its own. Like, I'm not even interested in entertaining the idea of a like Absolute Justice League or anything like that. I just like these individual books right now, at least in so far as the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman books. We'll see how the other ones pan out, but right now, like, I'm really here for this. This book is so good right now.
It's
Aaron decided to write, just as Gail Simone did with Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron decided to write a good comic for once in a blue moon. And obviously Rafa Sandoval he's killing it on the art.
This art is just so beautiful. Every single panel he's ever done. Like, if I had unlimited money, I would buy every like third print that they're doing of this book, because they always use a different Rafa panel, and I'm like, they're all amazing. They're just all fantastic.
They're so good.
But yeah, that's what we have for Ultimate God. If only we had the counter. It's not Ultimate Superman, it's Absolute Superman. That's what I've got for it. Any last words or thoughts you want to throw in there, Andrew?
No, guys,
Aquaman.
I would say don't take my word for it, but take my word for it, because I wasn't interested in the Absolute universe at all initially. The months leading up to the first book's drop, I'd been telling Mav, like, I'm glad you're looking forward to it, man. It's just, I was going
to bring up the way you framed it the first time. Good for you, little buddy. Like,
yeah, like I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're looking forward to something over at DC right now.
And I was over here like, please read it with me, please. And you're like, it's fine. I'm good. It's cool.
And I decided to take a chance. I decided to read Absolute Batman that first week that it released. And I was like, wow, okay, so this shockingly was good.
Yeah, right.
And then I decided to go all in, and I'm not mad that I did. So guys, the premise is strong so far. The writing is strong so far. The art is gorgeous. If you're interested in something that's outside of mainstream DC continuity, which, I mean, they have no idea what the hell they're doing right now with that anyway.
They really don't.
Something that's a little more digestible. This is a great series so far, and I would highly recommend it. So,
3 issues
and
in,
always,
you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, as always, just to reiterate what we said earlier, like, if you're going to listen to people's opinions on comic books, you should listen to people who actually read comic books and like people who read comic books, rather than people who don't read comic books, don't like comic books, and don't like people who like comic books. And that's all I got to say about that.
No, it's a perfect stamp on it. Guys, that's what we try to do here. We want to be intellectually honest for you, because that's the only way the medium gets better. And you deserve it. You guys deserve genuine insight, genuine news, because...
we hate a book, we'll tell you.
If we hate a book, we'll tell you. If we like a book that's good, we'll tell you. I mean, we've both dropped, unpopular opinions on books in the 11 shows we've done thus far. We're going to have more of them as time goes on. So... keep coming back. We'll keep delivering that for you. I know that we are really, really running up against it, so we'll let you get out of here, Andrew. You're the one who's got to bounce. So we'll give you your say goodbye to everybody, or I guess I'm going to go back to the browser, because I'm going to bring up everything as we always do. But let them know where you're going. And
rub that box in my face. That's fine.
I mean, you got it. But we'll get you out of here, and you can hop, and I'll do a more formal goodbye. and we'll take it from there.
As always, guys, thanks so much for being here and hanging out with us. You've helped us grow this channel so far. Thank you for being here with us every single week. Thank you to those who have backed and pre-ordered everything over at the Rippaverse. Currently, tomorrow is the final day for the Rippaverse Trinity Volume 1 Omnibus Collection, which collects ISOM 1, Alpha Core 1, and Yaira 1 in both a softcover and hardcover option. The hardcover, which is an oversized hardcover, is limited to only 1,000 being printed. All of the merch on there is going to be print to order so that we can keep it collectible. So people that pre-order those shirts and the posters for the Trinity collection, there will only be enough overrun printing to take into account like damages and things like
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
So definitely
in like
keep
50
that in mind.
years, if everything went out normal and nothing got damaged, maybe they'll sell the like 20 copies I have. But
exactly. Thank you to everybody that's pre-ordered Bloodruth, everybody that's pre-ordered Achromatic Chronicles Green, everybody that's pre-ordered the Young Isom statue made in conjunction with Iron Studios. We got a lot more coming down the pipeline, not just the 14 projects that we announced during our Rip Reveal presentation, which I would encourage you to go watch. We also have the individual trailers uploaded on our YouTube.
They already watched it.
I certainly hope so. But lastly, this Saturday and moving forward, probably pretty regularly, as I mentioned before, Mary and I got her hooked on Smallville, and we're going through that, and she's really loving it. And so we're probably going to start doing some weekly kind of like wrap-ups and reviews of the episodes that we were able to watch together. I own the whole series on DVD.
I have it on DVD too. DVDs were a thing.
I'm eventually going to get it on Blu-ray as well. But yeah, definitely check those streams out because Mary and I have a ton of fun reviewing things together. Anybody that watched our review of War of the Rohirrim will know that we have great chemistry. I would certainly hope so. And have a ton of fun talking geek stuff together. So please check that out. Mary Mayhem here on YouTube. And yeah, guys, thanks so much as always. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Feel free to jump if you need to. I know you need to. I'm just going to wrap up everything really quick.
Godspeed.
Yeah, Godspeed to you as well, mi amigo. Timon asks,
later, guys.
Where is Zod in all of this? If we're talking absolute Superman still, we have not seen him yet. We're not that far yet. We'll probably see him. I'm presuming Zod will probably. I'm guessing there will probably be some drama with the escape ship, and maybe Zod tries to take over that ship, or because he's in the military, he has his own. We don't know yet. We'll see. But I'm interested to see how they handle this Zod. Let's see. So lucky. An Iron Studios Spidey statue. Timon says he has one. I want to get I still haven't gotten like an Iron Studios or a Hot Toys anything. I saw Hot Toys did a Ben figure years ago and they've never reprinted it, and I'm waiting for it because they'll do it again, and that bad boy is going to go right up on my shelf. Timon says about Gun Superman. Test screening's not going well. Care to comment? Obviously, Andrew is not here right now, so we can ask him again when he comes back next week on Foil Variant, or tomorrow we'll ask him when he's in the chat of Good Mav Ugly. But as far as I can tell, I don't know what to make of it right now. I know we reported on it. JB over on Bounding into Comics dropped a story about it today or yesterday. I don't ever really know how to take these stories without really big details to it, like general plot leaks when those come out. So I don't know what to make of it genuinely. We are in the age, especially as a news reporter or relayer, whatever you guys want to call me. There are people who will make up sources. There are people who will take one thing somebody said and blow it out of proportion. I'm open to, I have no idea what anybody is going to be feeling about this movie. I personally, as you guys have heard across all my appearances, I'm kind of optimistic for it, so long as James Gunn keeps his James Gunn-ness to a minimum. But aside from that, who knows? If I were to take a guess, I'd say they're probably being blown a little bit out of proportion. I'm going to guess people are probably liking this film a lot more than we would presume. But again, at this point, it could be question marks. But yeah, guys, aside from that, obviously Andrew is out of here now. I will wrap it up for tonight. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us. It's awesome to kick off 2025 with a foil variant. Like I said, we'll be making improvements and fixes around the show, around the community, all that fun stuff as the year goes on. So expect better presentation, better graphics, less boomerisms. Maybe I'll make it easier for all of us to see the comic panels we're talking about. All of that doesn't happen until I get better from the sickness. You can obviously hear in my throat, in my nose, the cold medicine is wearing off. So as that's wearing off, I will sign off. Say, guys, thank you for hanging out with us, from Timon to Clone Geek to Reeve to Mary to Subhuman to Nick to Punk to Emily Kruger. All of you guys, whether you were actively talking to us in the chat or you're watching this in the VOD or you're just watching it on your own and you're not commenting, we see you, we love you, we appreciate you guys. We couldn't do this without you. So tune in next week when we'll be back for more comic book talk, intellectually honest comic book talk. Hopefully I'll be way more recovered by then and I won't sound like this. And yeah, until then, go check out all the stuff that the Rippaverse has dropped. Start saving for all the cool projects that are coming out this year. Spare a couple $15, go pick up Absolute Superman 1 through 3 if you haven't. And yeah, guys, here's to 2025. Let's get to it. It's always good to have a fresh start, a fresh year. And yeah, until next time, guys, we will see you all soon. We love you. And yeah, go read some good comics. Yes, ginger tea is actually what I was right about to go run and make, Timon. You've got me. So off to tea time, off to outro time. See you all next week.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics.
How's your comic book collection, Brody?
Oh, it's going good, but I've been...